really important one. Okay, is John available now?
Yes, I am.
Right. Can you play the karakia, please?
You mean Stephanie's?
No, we have a little welcome from group. Have we got that?
I don't have that.
You don't have that, Liz? I thought
we had that in that box. We did talk about it the other day. Yeah, that's interesting. Where did that go to?
All right. Well, we'll just skip that, I think, at the moment. We won't waste people's time trying to find it out. And so what I'm going to do is introduce all the district governors from around the country. And we will start way down south with District 9999 and the wonderful Dave McKissick from Invercargill. Dave, would you like to say an introduction to the team here, please?
Yes, thank you, Nick, and welcome everybody, and thank you for your attendance today. Today's impact is going to be immense for you when you're leading your clubs in the coming year. My name's Dave McKissick. I'm the District Governor-elect for 9999. I'm from the Invercargill Sunrise Club, right down the bottom end of the South Island, where the weather is gorgeous today. I'm been in Rotary for 25 years, close to. Love it. I enjoy the interaction with members, but I'm looking forward to working with all the new presidents in the coming year and your clubs. And I'm a person that likes to be on the shovel in the projects as well. So not only club visits, but I'll be there for your projects as well. So enjoy your day and look forward to catching up.
Thank you, Dave. And so we'll move up the country to District 9940 and Jocelyn Hogg. Jocelyn. Off mute, Jocelyn. Mute, you're on mute.
I think she said move on.
So I'll move up the country a little further. Vidya Nand, are you there? District 9920.
Yes, I'm here.
Right.
As you know, my name is Vidya, and I am from District 9920, the District Governor-elect. I belong to a very multiracial Rotary Club of Auckland Harbourside. I've been a Rotarian for 30 years this year, and I have loved every bit of it. And I think our best friends have come from Rotary. So just to say in simple words, let's be the magic of Rotary and make 24-25 year an exciting, successful, and collaborative year.
Thank you, Vidya. Back to Jocelyn now.
Thank you. Trying to work on two screens and my mouse is just not listening to me. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending today. It's going to be great to see you all on here, and we hope we're going to get something, at least something new out of today's program. My name's Jocelyn Hogg, and myself and my husband and I are beef farmers in the mighty Horowhenua, lower part of the North Island. My Rotary interests include projects in the Pacific Islands, senior care, and supporting those who assist in preventing family harm. I'm a 10-year Rotarian, 9 of those in the wonderful live-in area, and am now in the Mana Tangata Club as we start up a new satellite club there. As District Governor-elect, my primary focus is on fostering collaboration and growth within our diverse community of clubs. I aim to inspire and guide clubs towards their acceptance of the changes and challenges that this regionalisation is bringing us. So have a great day today, and let's hope to get something good from it. Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. And District 9910, unfortunately, their District Governor-elect, Jen Wong, has just had a baby, little Ethan. So that's fantastic that we've got a young female district governor that's just given birth to a child, but she couldn't make it today. We're thinking of her. So, but it's great. And I'm sure everybody in 9910 will be supporting Jen as she embarks on her particular journey. So that only leaves District 9930. I want to wonder who the district governor-elect is for that. Shall I introduce myself? So I'm the district governor elect for District 9930, as well as being the co-host of your session today. And just like all the others, I'm interested in keeping a vibrant Rotary going, not only for this generation and building on it, but for the next generation. We've got a fantastic organisation that does so much good in the world. We need to make sure as older Rotarians, and I'm one of those, need to pass the banner to a new generation. And therefore, we're going to have to think, influence, and innovate in that. And I hope we're all going to be challenged someday of how we can play our part in changing the perception and the effectiveness of Rotary in our communities. So thank you for that. And so now I'd like to introduce us. We've all the district governors-elects except Jen went to Orlando and to International Assembly, and we're going to watch the presentation of our incoming Rotary International President, Stephanie Urchik, talk and launching her theme from that assembly. So, John, could we play that video, please?
Thank you. Hello, family of Rotary. I am honored to address the 24-25 class of district governors, the Irresistibles. And when I call you my family, I'm not just being kind. I really think of Rotary as my family. I want to start today by putting a special focus on some very important members of our family of Rotary. In a couple of weeks, I'm traveling to Pakistan to meet with some amazing people, female health workers. Ending polio everywhere means taking on this hard task, block by block across Pakistan. It's a difficult and at times dangerous mission. These women literally climb mountains to vaccinate children in remote locations. That's not even the half of it. They fight misinformation and prejudice every step of the way. When we finally eradicate polio in Pakistan and everywhere, it will be due in large part to these women. So when I arrive in Pakistan to meet with these workers, I want them to know that even though they will never meet most of you, they have your support and that you treasure their contributions. So I want you to give them a standing ovation that I can share with them on my visit. But wait, let me get my camera. Okay, so everybody, let's do that standing ovation. Great, thank you. In addition to your generous applause, the best way for you to support these health workers and the fight against polio is by raising awareness and raising money. It's not too late to join or initiate a Polio Plus Society in your club or district. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is still matching our donations 2-to-1, but only if we meet our annual fundraising goal of $50 million. To help raise awareness, I need you to contact elected officials and other government leaders. Remind them that polio is still a threat. Push them to support polio eradication. Polio remains our top priority and requires our fullest commitment. But there is so much important work to do. Thankfully, we have Rotary's action plan to make our work easier and to make the club experience simply irresistible. That's where the magic of Rotary starts. We'll need that magic if we're going to bring healing to a divided world. The numbers of armed conflicts and displaced people around the world are rising at an alarming rate. We need to be at our best if we want to have a positive impact. That means we might have to change a few things about ourselves as an organization. Change can be scary, but it's easier when we change together. With that in mind, I invite all of you to become action plan champions so you can change your clubs for the better and keep Rotary strong. And there's plenty of room for continuity in our action plan too. It's about building on our best ideas, not abandoning them. Think of the action plan as a tool to help you improve the club experience in your district. Remember, you have influence. District governors charter clubs. You can help club leaders think creatively and produce irresistible experiences, both for existing members and for future members. That could mean changing how things are done in your district. If your district has been doing things one way for 50 years, it's probably time to reassess. The action plan helps identify a club's strengths and weaknesses and what that club can do to improve. If a club in your district isn't active or it's losing members, maybe it's time to start a new club that fits better with the community. Ask club members what they want and bridge that with the community's needs. Just because a club or district hasn't changed in a while doesn't mean no one is hungry for change. You have an incredible opportunity as district governors to empower club members to make improvements. Check in with club members in your district. Ask them about their club experience and what can be done to make it better. And consider talking to leaders in your communities who are not yet Rotary members but should be. Maybe they don't know about Rotary, or perhaps the current club structure in that community isn't the right fit. You might find that some members don't feel like they truly belong in their club. And that's why expanding our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is so important. Anyone who has the heart and hands for service belongs in Rotary. And I hope you'll join me in opening your arms to future people of action, even if, and in some cases, especially if, they don't look or act like typical members of your local Rotary Club. With DEI, it's easier to be united in a common purpose. It's in those moments when we're committed and focused that we are the most effective and the most relevant. But the work can't stop there. No one will know our clubs are irresistible if we don't tell people about them. The fact is, we need storytellers to spread our positive image and to spread positive peace in these troubled times. Peace building is one of my top priorities, and this IA is more than your introduction to the role of district governor. It's a call to action to support Rotary's peace-building programs and initiatives. One of those programs is the Rotary Peace Fellowship, a product of the Rotary Foundation that began more than 20 years ago to help peace and development professionals end and prevent conflict. We offer the fellowships through our Rotary Peace Centers located at leading universities around the globe. More than 1,800 Peace Fellows have graduated from Rotary Peace Centers and are working in more than 140 countries toward a better world. And thanks to a $15.5 million gift from the Otto and Fran Walter Foundation, we can continue supporting peace builders in more regions with our next Peace Center in Bahçeşehir University in Istanbul, Turkey. The first class of fellows will arrive in Istanbul in early 2025. To mark the occasion, Rotary members, Rotary Peace Fellows, Positive Peace Activators, and others will be invited to attend a Rotary Presidential Peace Conference planned for February 2025. The theme of the conference, not our annual theme, that's coming soon, will be Healing in a Divided World. This conference will focus on Rotary's peace efforts and provide opportunities to learn together. You'll hear more about the Peace Conference at our convention in Singapore, and I can't wait to see all of you there. But there's so much more you and members in your districts can do to promote peace in the meantime. Members who want to spread hope for peace in their community can plant a peace pole in the local park, playground, or any community space. And one of my favorite tools for peace building is our four-way test. We would live in a better world if every Rotary member truly lived the four-way test instead of simply reciting it. Rotary members have plenty of ways to support peace-building efforts, but today I want you to remember this. To spread peace around the world, we must first find peace within ourselves. Performing acts of kindness can ease symptoms of anxiety or depression and promote social connection more effectively than any known approach. We find joy in helping others, but we also face a tough balancing act. We must change ourselves and stay true to who we are. That's why I have adopted the colors of orange and sky blue as my theme colors. As a dominant color of autumn, orange represents the shifting of seasons, the end of one phase and the beginning of another. In fact, orange is the primary color of change. Blue, on the other hand, is associated with knowledge and intelligence, trust, loyalty, and dependability. Blue inspires open communication. Combined, these colors represent our burning need to move forward together as we change ourselves and change the world. With that, I've teased you long enough. Who's ready to hear the 24-25 annual theme? All right, I will tell you our theme after one quick story. Years ago, I was in the Dominican Republic helping to install water filters. Two young boys watched as dirty water entered the filter in one end and emerged clean out the other end. I will never forget the first time we stopped the water flow. One of the boys grabbed my sleeve and said, "Lady, show me that magic again." Obviously, the water filter wasn't magic. We worked hard to transport those filters, install them, and work with the recipients in the area to maintain them. But those boys knew that easy access to clean water would change their lives. Knowing that I played a small part in that certainly changed my life. And that's why our annual theme is the magic of Rotary. Now, don't misunderstand me. We are not going to grow membership, end polio, or bring peace to the world by waving a wand and saying some funny words. It's up to you. You create the magic with every project completed, every dollar donated, and every new member inducted. The magic of Rotary can encourage whatever drives your local clubs. You can grow the magic of Rotary if you're adding new members to our family. You can unlock the magic of Rotary if you're unlocking the power of women and girls. You can advance the magic of Rotary if you're fundraising to help change the world. And when our year as Rotary President and District Governors has come to an end, it's up to us to make sure there's a whole line of people behind us, ready to keep that magic going. I love my Rotary family, and I can feel that love in this room. That's why I know that you are capable of making every club in your district simply irresistible. This International Assembly won't last forever. Make the most of even the smallest moments. The briefest connection could result in a lifelong friendship. The simplest lesson could change your entire Rotary career. Don't let these opportunities pass you by. And when we return home, let's change the world by embracing the magic of Rotary.
Thank you. Really inspiring speech from Stephanie there. I think we're coming into autumn, change. We've got to think about the action plan. We've got lots of challenges in front of us, and that's what today is all about. So, Liz, I believe we've got a special guest that's coming to talk to us about the Rotary Foundation.
We certainly do. Thank you very much. Now, you would have noticed on the earlier program that we were having and expecting Barry Ratton to come and speak with us. Unfortunately, Barry is unavailable. And so we have absolutely another very good speaker for us, and one who knows the foundation back to front, and that's Peter Garnett. Thank you, Peter, for joining us today. And Peter Garnett is our Rotary coordinator, and he absolutely has a message and some very good examples to tell us and to show us around the Rotary Foundation. So welcome, Peter. I thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Liz. Let me share my screen so that I can back up what I'm saying. So, sorry for that small delay there, but thank you all for joining me this morning to talk about our foundation. Let me just get going here. Okay, so we're talking about, and for me, the foundation is really the jewel in the crown for all of us as Rotarians. It is what enables us to do good in the world. And this is just briefly, is what it's all about. And just think about that, over $5 billion spent on projects throughout the world since the foundation started more than 100 years ago. I'd like to just start briefly looking at Rotary's #1 project, Polio Plus. And when we think about the success we've had in the coming up 36 years since we started this project, that we're down to only 2 endemic countries. And right now, there have been no cases at this stage in either of those countries since September, October last year. So fingers crossed that that is going to continue to be what it's all about. You know, the World Health Organization is still absolutely aiming at that the last case of polio will be at the end of 2025. So fingers crossed, we will achieve that. But please, please keep supporting polio program. At this stage, only about 50% of our clubs now support the polio program. But without your support, we're not going to be able to achieve that gift we promised the children of the world. to rid the world of polio. Looking at grants then, as most of you will be aware, the Foundation offers grants in these 4 areas, and let's have a look at them. So there's global grants, district grants, disaster response grants, and program of scale. So global grants. These all focus on doing good in the in our 7 areas of focus. They're all up there. The trustees set the first 6 back when the Future Vision and this foundation projects, as we know them now, start in year 13-14, and of course we added environment in the last 3 years. So what have we been doing with these? Well, last year, just under 1,100 grants approved, and since global grants started in 13-14, there have been just under 13,000 global grants given. As you can see, total funding, the difference between programs and fund awards and total funding is cash contributions made outside of the actual global grant funding. But a lot of money, $770,000 in grant projects. And what have they been done? This just gives you a little bit of a feel for what's been happening here, the amount spent, and just to give you an idea, 481 projects have been in the disease and prevention, 163 in water and sanitation, coming down to 65 in peace building and 57 in the environment so far. So what an amazing effort we've been doing in global grants. And if we think about some of them that have been done, I mean, there's so many, 12,000, can't talk about them, but some I picked out was providing dental care or access to dental care for underprivileged people in 33 towns in Bangar, the Philippines, providing crop growing facilities, training and mentoring to enable people with disabilities to become economically independent in Hsinchu province in Taiwan, a vocational training team project to bring midwives from Timor-Leste to Brisbane for training, and of course in New Zealand, our Te Tai Tokerau Tamariki Mental Health Wellbeing Project for Northland, aimed at providing training resources for teachers and parents to support and build resilience in primary school children. So that's just a taster, 12,800, and you can go into Showcase to see more of them. We think about district grants, and these are our small projects, and each of our districts in New Zealand have been undertaking these. And as you can see, last year, 473 districts out of our 530 in the world undertook district grant projects. So just under 5,000 have been done since 13-14. And well, you can think about ones in your own community, but ones that came to mind for me were community gardens, building community gardens to help sustainability, distributing school dictionaries to schools and young kids, a number of vehicles for community groups, and I've seen them in my district, I've seen them in Canterbury, I've seen them in 9940, and I'm sure it's happening in other parts of the world. One of our recent additions in the last 4 years has been disaster response grants, and these provide that wonderful support, $25,000, very quick support to enable districts to make a difference when disaster strikes. And to give you an example, recently my district 9910 applied for one for Vanuatu, and in fact there's the goods that were bought with it sitting on the wharf at Luganville, and within 2 nights or 2 days the grant was approved and we had the money in the bank within 4 days. So very quick response, provided there's money in the disaster response fund. And of course, there's the 4 individual disaster response funds set up, starting with Ukraine, and what a wonderful response that achieved, with $15 million donated within 6 to 8 weeks. And then the Turkey and Syria disaster response fund, that has just closed last month, and over $2 million has been donated to that. And then the other 2, the help for Pakistan, when over a third of the country was underwater, and then the Morocco. So I just did a little bit of digging, and this just to give you a bit of an idea of disaster response grants in our own zone. And you can see 35 grants have been approved, and that gives you an idea of what they've been used for and where they've been. So you can see across our zone, we have been making a big difference after disasters have struck. Programs of scale grants, these were started in 2021. And there's the three. These are grants where the foundation donates or provides $2 million US for major big projects of scale. And so there's the three that have been granted to date. You can go online to get the details of them. And you'll be interested to know I'm part of a small group currently working to investigate on a program, a scale grant for the Pacific, either this year or next year we're hoping for. So work is being done to bring one of those to our own area. Of course, we can't go without Peace Fellows, and Stephanie mentioned these quite extensively in her presentation before, and in fact, she has provided updated data since I got this data with now talking about over 1,800. So this will be the graduates in the last couple of years. But you can see the skills that our Peace Fellows acquire and the beneficiaries. But I didn't want to go without talking a little bit more about peace. And again, Stephanie talked about it. And just we can be very proud of our impact in the world on peace. And as it says there, we've been involved with the United Nations for over 75 years. And it's really quite interesting to have a look at that. And it starts back in 1940, in fact, at the RI Convention in Havana, Cuba. And there the respect for human rights is discussed, which led to the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. So we led the discussion on that. Rotary also planted the seed for the creation of UNESCO through discussions in our 42 convention in London. And 49 Rotarians participated in 1945 at the San Francisco UN Charter meetings, where the organization was officially formed. So we were at the beginning of the United Nations, and we are one of the few non-government organizations that has a permanent person assigned to the United Nations and accredited. What an amazing thing that we can be very proud of. And it doesn't just stop there. We've been heavily involved and were heavily involved in COP28, and that's the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of the Parties. What a mouthful. So that's why they say COP28 in Dubai. And there, a Rotary delegation led by RI President Gordon McNally, Trustee Chair Barry Rassin, General Secretary John Huke, managed the pavilion in the UN managed venue, and across 2 weeks, Rotary hosted 28 breakout sessions. So again, what an amazing contribution we're making to world peace. So really, when you think about it, what are we doing in the world? We're making lasting change with our projects, whether it's local community, worldwide, or programs of scale. But don't forget that these can create buzz in your district. So when we're doing these projects, make sure we develop good stories with action photos so that we can tell our stories, so that not only Rotarians, but our community understand what we do. You see, here's the value, and it's all around the action plan, as you can see, of delivering Rotary branded projects. Please ensure when you're doing a project, if you're doing it in the community in partnership with another organization, please make sure that is co-branded. So Rotary is branded as part of the project, that we know and the community knows it's Rotary doing this. And I can't leave this without saying none of this is possible without fundraising. And I really, really can only encourage you as incoming presidents to encourage your clubs to give to the Rotary Foundation, to encourage individual Rotarians to give to the Rotary Foundation, to the annual fund, the Polio Plus fund, and if you're involved in disasters, perhaps to the separate fund, the disaster fund. Now, I'd like to leave you with a video just summarizing last year's efforts. If it'll play. Right. Liz, it looks like it's going to play hard to get, so I'll just stop now rather than take a lot of time and wish you all the very best for your exciting year ahead. Best wishes and thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. That's most appreciated. And as you can see, we really do have the ability to create enormous impact in our communities. Nick, I'll pass back to you.
Yeah, well, look, it leads on very nicely, doesn't it? We've talked about the action plan. Stephanie's talked about a whole lot of things. the Rotary Foundation often being that engine to help us do a whole lot of things. It was really interesting. I went to a foundation dinner last year, and Barry Rassin was talking there, and he said, the bit that got me was, how many charities do you know where you give them money and then they give some back to you, right? So they're the engine that keeps perpetuating, keeps us doing good in the world. So it's my pleasure, and it feels like this is yin and yang probably, to introduce Liz, who is my co-host here, who's going to lead us one of our sessions. Liz has been a past district governor, and she's got a list of things she's involved in Rotary that is so long it would use up all the time that she's got allocated for the session if I was to go through it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Liz Courtney to take us through increasing our impact. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you very much. And I will begin this with telling you a little bit about a snapshot example from an extensive report done by the Foundation Chair, Pat Taylor, from your district, Nick, 9930, and the outcomes from having received money donated by the Rotary Foundation. What I'd like you to take away from this session today is that we have access to immediate money when disaster hits, and we have access from the Rotary Foundation. More importantly, it's about how we go about using it, accounting for it, and measuring the outcomes by asking what the money was used for and how much, and finally, how this information was used. It's asking the who, what, why, when, and how. I'll just go to the next slide here. The Rotary Foundation Disaster Grant was distributed to clubs on the 10th of March 2023, with reporting due back by the end of March through to April 2023. To meet the Rotary International criteria of supplying essential items such as food, clothing, furniture, and items, a short reporting date was given to allow for the grant to be quickly distributed, and then to apply for a second disaster relief grant. The final report was signed off by Rotary International in December 2023. Rotary Oceania, ROS Ops Limited, had negotiated with Media Works to have 2 digital signboards installed on a major traffic routes asking for donations. These were charged at a minimal rate and were kept for up to 3 weeks instead of the normal 1. We collected $97,000, mostly from the public, generated by this advertising and through social media. Many other Rotary clubs contributed, and $10,000 was also donated by Rotary Down Under. New Zealand World Community Service also had donations which were added to the total, with some funds tagged directly to affected clubs. District 9930 assigned an administration team to handle the finances, the communication, reporting, and identifying the clubs and areas that were most affected. These were the guiding principles that were set out. Speed, administration to be kept at a minimum, and also our trust model, dealing with Rotarians, and the KISS model, keep things simple. Also, they were looking for opportunities for public image, and they were also asking for cash and receipts, and these had to be submitted for the reporting process. 10 clubs were identified quickly, and between them they replenished the shelves of a local food bank, purchased topsoil to replace that washed away in a local community garden, purchased outdoor equipment and tools for community groups impacted by the flooding, donated to the Hauraki Women's Refuge to purchase household items and children's clothing for affected families in the isolated areas. Naturally, there were other areas that were not as badly affected, and the remaining donated money was widely distributed. One of our major Rotary strengths is that we have many clubs in both rural and urban areas. It gives us the ability to use our connections to contact people in these areas to move things along quickly in such circumstances as these. Working with other organisations can often give us the inside knowledge and help in times of disasters. And when something has worked well, it is good to follow up with the immediate need has passed to make sure that you say thank you. And it's a great opportunity to ask if they want to join Rotary. After all, what better way to ask? They've actually seen us in action. Rotary provided the funds for 489 lunches for the Task Force Kiwi volunteers who helped with the initial cleanup. They purchased fuel and running costs of mechanical diggers and other heavy machinery donated by out-of-town providers. They provided transport, food and drink for over 1,000 traumatised children living in isolated areas so they could attend an inspirational play called The Worm. They worked with Salvation Army, Age Concern, Parents League, high schools to replace lost uniforms, and supplied whiteware and bedding to many households. Identifying other organisations, Rotary can collaborate, and that meant that money reached those who really required it the most. So all of these photos were used on social media, and many used the People of Action campaign logo and acknowledged the organisation they worked with. This is just the snapshot of the variety of recipients and the activities who received money. So in summary, this is a really impressive way that 9930 worked together. They showed that by collaborating with a wide group of organisations and using our Rotary Wet network can effectively use our skills to help people in times of crisis. As Pat Taylor, the Foundation Grants Chair in 9930 said, and he put it so well, I think we can be rightfully proud at the speed we have dispersed funds and should take great delight in the huge variety of projects that Club have seen fit to support. So through giving to the Rotary Foundation, we can make an impact, not only in overseas projects, but within our own backyard. Every district receives almost half of its money raised back to the district. What other organisation does that? Just as Nick has said in the introduction. None that I know of. It's a genius way of giving and receiving, and it keeps the wheels of Rotary International turning so we can be involved in multiple projects all over the world. In your breakout sessions, here are some questions to consider. Please select a note taker from your breakout group, as we will be asking for feedback from several groups. Also note the breakout number, please, so that we know who has given the feedback and can make sure as many groups as possible have a chance to speak. If you wish to photograph that, I would ask you to do so now. Thank you for being able to share this wonderful example of work done here in New Zealand from a Rotary district from a Rotary Disaster Fund. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Nick. You can take it back from there now.
Thank you, Liz. Could you leave the questions up? I think it's just a little longer. Some might need to get those down. And very shortly, once we've given you a little bit of time to make sure you've either taken a photograph of that or made things, we're going to pop you into breakout rooms where we want you to discuss those questions. These are starters for 10. The Rotary Foundation is really critically important, both from how we fund it and how we use it, district grants, global grants, and about increasing our impact, right? So how are we doing it? How are you accessing it? How are you supporting it? Are good questions that we need to ask you as presidents. What's your club's view on it? Why do you have that view? Is that a view you've held for 50 years and it needs to change? Let's go into those breakout rooms. I'll ask John to do that. and then we're going to give you about 15 minutes in those breakout rooms, and then we'll close them down and come back and get some feedback from that session.
I'll stop sharing this screen now. Hopefully you've all had a chance to take a photograph. Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
John, can you pop people into breakout rooms? Thanks.
I'll do that now. Just going to let everybody know that when we bring you back from the breakout rooms, you'll get a 60-second warning that the room's going to be closed before you're transferred back to the main room.
Hello, everyone. I had the delight of popping into a breakout session. I hope that you were able to share some of your projects, how you'd gone about involving partnerships or other organisations, and also assessing your community needs. I think that's really important. But I'm just going to ask for some feedback from 4 different groups, if I can do that. And if you can make it really quite snappy, I would appreciate it. That would be wonderful. From group 1, please.
Oh, hi, do I just start talking?
Yes, you do, Joanna.
Okay. So, for the first question about accessing grants, none of us were sure, either because we just weren't sure or we hadn't been there long enough. For the second question, which I can't even remember what it was, but I've got the notes.
Your general
question. So we, how would we go about assessing the needs? So we go to our local councils. We hear from our speakers. We hear from the groups that we support. We have and word of mouth. How do we engage with the organisations? We didn't really discuss that one. Projects that we've been involved with. Some examples were e-waste, a pandemic ventilator that went to Nepal, something called Vox Research, and then locally something called Cake Detective, which is something that Kevin was talking about, and that's where children who have never, ever in their lives had a birthday cake are given birthday cakes. And then some other things. We, for example, work with the Wellington Women's Homeless Trust, and we're involved with trapping and planting. And yes, we do ask our groups that we're involved with and our speakers and so on to join Rotary. And advertising it, we use our social media, our newsletters, and local newspapers. And that was all we got to. Hopefully that is faithfully reported.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you, Joanna. That's wonderful. Could I hear from Team 4, please? Group 4.
Good morning, that was us. So yeah, we didn't, as with Joanna, we didn't have sort of a lot of experience amongst our group from being involved in global projects or accessing money for that purpose, but lots of examples of local community ones. The winter warmer packs that Rotary Levin were doing, getting for children of need sort of toothbrushes and toothpaste and sort of packs to help them along the way. We had examples of working with Principals Association for a Ready to Learn program, getting sort of resource support for the start of the school year, books and those sorts of things for underprivileged children there. School dictionaries was another one where funds had been applied for, RDA support, just a lot of the more local community ones where either the organisations had approached Rotary, or in a lot of cases the Rotary members were aware of areas in the community where help was needed and approaches was made from the club to them. So a good combination of it working both ways. Just as Joanna said, we amongst our group hadn't had a lot of success in recruiting new members from those initiatives. Certainly not for lack of trying and asking, but I think we had a bit of a common struggle there, and that it was we had mixed success with that one. What else did we do there? Yeah, I think that's really the bulk of our discussions. Really, we didn't get into too much detail about the assessing the impact of the projects. Just more focused on the projects themselves and some of the varieties that were available.
Thank you, Campbell. Thanks for your feedback. Could I have group number 7, Thank you. Do you know which group was number 7?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Wonderful. Thanks,
You all
Vivian.
right? We just had a small group, and yes, we were very lucky. We had a group that had done a global grant and done a project in Fiji with water and sanitation and water supply. Interesting that it came from the interest of a particular member who had visited villages and had seen the need. So that was quite a large project, 8 to 10,000, with multiple visits to Fiji, which was amazing. Another area we had 9930, I think it was, that in Carterton, that was working locally and had been involved with a swimming pool, and now the community had come back and asked for more help again. So they are working on that project. The comments from the group were that often the community projects came from people within their Rotary group, and they got the best support from the community from Rotarians who were part of the community and then linked into the projects they were doing. A wonderful collaboration is happening with local Lions and Kiwanis clubs who are working together for local projects, because they've got the same problem as we have, reducing numbers and reducing inputs. So there was quite a bit of sharing, and they reported co-branding of the projects. And Carterton again shared with us around that they do Talent Wairarapa, and had a national business offer to assist to support that in the Wairarapa, which was really significant. And other areas we're talking about collaborating with men's sheds as well to raise the profile and try and get Rotarians and people to come in and join Rotary. So unfortunately, most of them said at this point they hadn't recruited from those projects to get new members, but they were hopeful that that may happen in the future. And just one other fantastic thing that was reported was that the local Wairarapa radio was advertising for volunteers for all the service organisations in the area, because they needed more volunteers to help.
Thank you very much for that extensive report. Thank you very much. That was really interesting to have a group there that has done extensive work globally. And you're right. I think it is easier when you do have someone in your club who has that connection. It does make it a lot easier. Thank you, Vivian. That's brilliant. And last one, number 9, please. Group 9.
Thank you, Liz. We didn't get through all the questions.
I'm sure you didn't.
Could have spent at least twice the amount of time, and we probably still wouldn't have reached the end. But we had a very positive discussion. Some of the clubs had experience involving Rotary Foundation funds. In particular, Sally from 9910 talked about a project in Vanuatu collecting rainwater for a school that otherwise had no clean water. And that's one of the key areas of focus, of course, providing clean water. Sally also talked, I thought, in a very inspiring way about a mental health project in the far north. They have partnered with Mike Smith in the I Am Hope organisation that he runs. They're training teachers to recognise the problems as they occur. And I was able to echo that with a project in 9940, which we've called Lifting the Lid. That's concerned with raising funds for youth suicide. And in both cases, the schools show a willingness to sign up for this. We've taken slightly different approaches, but I think these are seriously good projects for our future. We also had another very positive experience related by Steve from 9930, who spoke about the problems arising from Hurricane Gabriel And I think the points that he stressed there were the very quick response that they were able to provide. So that's really about as far as we got. As I say, we could have spent a lot more time going down further into the questions, but perhaps that's for some other time. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Phil. That's wonderful. I mean, it gives everyone a bit of an overview of the types of projects that we are all involved in, some maybe the challenges and the issues around it as well. And lastly, could I have Group 11, please? Group 11 there?
Yes, I'll speak on behalf of our group. So
you.
we, again, didn't get through all of the questions, but we did have a discussion. We had Phil from Napier talk about the positive and negative results from the grant that they received after Cyclone Gabriel, and then the associated support and fundraising that came after that. We did talk a little bit about a global project that some of the Rotorua clubs are involved in, sending containers up to the Pacific Islands, although we don't apply for grants for those. We then went into a discussion about how the process of grants used to be quite onerous, and we had a visitor from one of the facilitators, Aaron, popped in and talked about how that process is becoming more simplified, especially for smaller amounts of money, so it's not as arduous. And then we had a lady from Samoa, one of our current presidents, who's becoming president again next year, talked about the Imagine Science Centre and explained her reporting and funding that they went through to get that science centre underway, which is going to open soon.
Oh, thank you. And was that Imagine Science in Samoa, was it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's actually really interesting, and one that we can follow up on. Thank you very much. Have we got time for anything more, Nick, or not? Hang on, I think.
Yep, I was muted, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
And yes, we have a couple, got another 5-10 minutes if you had questions and discussion and comments and things.
Okay. Yes, all right. Well, then if we could have Group 13, please.
Yeah, that's me, Jim Callahan. We spent quite a lot of time on the first couple of questions. And are we there? Are we there? Am I visible to people?
Yes, you are. You're fine, Jim. Yeah.
Okay. We talked about making contact with groups that could benefit by our assistance, and one of the clubs talked about they go to the weekly market and have a stand at the weekly market and contact, and they learn about what's going on in the community there, and discover issues. And most of the other issues that where we support have come from our speakers that we have from time to time at Rotary. A lot of those speakers come hoping to get some help from Rotary, and they often end up doing that. But a lot of our projects really come from long-standing relationships that people in the club have with other groups, and often the sorts of activities that we do in the groups are associated with groups in the community that we support on a regular basis. I think that's about all we had.
No, that's great. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much for that feedback. And lastly, could I have Group 5? Thank you. Five?
Hi, it's me. I'm Wade.
Lovely. Thanks, Wade. Thank you.
Right. We discussed as a group, and none of us really have been involved in any global grants. So we had Group 999, Group 9920, and Group obviously 9930 for myself. So we asked the questions about if there was something that we needed to be involved with, how do we get involved? How do we work with them? And obviously, we discussed that obviously talking directly with some of the people that are in that area is our best form of contact. and maybe talking with the government services within the areas of, you know, some needs. It can be quite easy for us as clubs to be coming up with ideas that we need to do, but whether or not it actually meets the needs of what's actually on the field where they are. We haven't done a global one, but we've obviously been helping out with, you know, the Gabrielle disaster relief that we needed to. A lot of the clubs did a lot of fundraising support with money. I know for our club, we tried to contact people within that area, and a lot of them were saying that finance was the most need at the time. The physical needs weren't were already being supported. So yeah, we did that. We had a young lady from, or a group from overseas, one there, I think it was Rarotonga. They said they did a fundraising evening. It was quite a small club, and they talked about doing a dinner and an auction night, and they raised a considerable amount of money for the Gabrielle disaster relief, which was very impressive. And we were, yeah, so
Thank you, Wade. That's wonderful. Well, there's been some excellent feedback and some ideas there around, well, number one, perhaps we need to think more globally if we're supposed to have a bit more impact, or at least at local level. We certainly need to make sure that we partner or contact different or make different partnerships to do exactly that, to have deeper impact in our communities. What I will do now is we have a little break here for 10 minutes, please. Go and have a stretch, grab yourself a cup of coffee, and then
Can we make
5 minutes.
Make it 5, please.
Minutes.
5 minutes.
And then we will come back, please, to go into our second session, which is expanding our reach around new models, etc., and telling our story. So thank you, everyone, for your attention so far, and I hope you enjoy the next session.
Liz, are we going to launch the poll before they all go?
Yes, please.
We can certainly do that. Thank you.
Can everybody see the poll? Yes,
Yeah.
people are answering it now. Excellent.
That's the regionalisation panel. Got the right poll, John?
No, it is. It's increasing the impact of your project. Yep.
I got a different one. Hang on. 5-minute break.
Thank you, everybody.
There's a lot. Okay, they're the poll from the first session, enjoyed by most, but not everyone. But that's great. That's all right. That's what the feedback we need around that is really important. So, John, if you close that down.
Yep, just one moment. Should have closed down. Yep.
It's still up on mine, but I'll close it down. Okay. So it's really interesting. Hopefully you got a bit out of that last session around the increasing our impact and using the Rotary Foundation as that. I remember from International Assembly that program for mental health for primary school children got a mention on the international stage in Orlando. That is the impact that is making. It is worldwide impact. People are looking at that program and saying, wow, fantastic. We're people of action. We're doing something. We're responding to a community need. You should be really proud of what we're doing, really. So that leads into me introducing my own district trainer, Aaron Kearney. He's been in the job a year. Is that right, Aaron? Is it about a year? Not quite.
Nearly.
Took over from a very poor trainer. And it's good to see that the training and the district's been uplifted from that previous person. So which was me, by the way. So that, without further ado, now Aaron has a long history in Rotary, both family and things, comes from Whangarei. Used to be a school teacher. So I think in your presentation, there's a deliberate spelling mistake that they should all be looking for. Is that right?
Of course not. Of course not. As a former English teacher, of course not.
So
Keep standards.
Over to you, Aaron. Welcome and thank you for hosting this part of this our program today.
Thank you, Nick. I will just share my screen. Right. Good morning, my fellow Rotarians. Yes, as in the words of that great phrase, he a te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. What is the most important thing? It is people, it is people, it is people. And that's why we're here. As Nick has stolen my introduction from me, I'll make it brief. Yes, my name's Aaron Kearney. I'm the district trainer for 9930 in the Central North Island. I'm a member of Waikato Sunrise Rotary in Hamilton. I'm also still the assistant governor for the Hamilton clubs in Huntly, which is Area 1. Yes, I hail from the mighty metropolis of Whangarei, more specifically a lifestyle block near the Tangihuas and Mangekaramia, for those who know the place. And I thank you for your attendance this morning and for giving us, I should say, your most precious resource, which is some of your time. I thought we'd just start with the learning outcomes. Yes, you can't take the school teacher out of the man. Yeah, we're here to understand the necessary, because we're here to expand our reach. We're here to understand the necessary mindset change in Rotary. I'm not really, I should have clarified at the start, I'm not here really to talk about new club models, but more about how we can better use our projects. And hopefully that can lead on very nicely from what Liz has just been talking about understanding how to utilize projects for more than traditional means, and understand what language is needed to sell the project, and practice writing your own pitch you can use to sell a Rotary, because as Stephanie Urchik said in her video earlier, you know, we are the storytellers of Rotary. We're really it. And then I should have said at the start that, you know, we must sell Rotary if it is to survive. We really have to get on board with this, more of a sales pitch than some of us might be more comfortable doing. But before that, I thought very briefly I'd go back to the way we were, to see where we've come from. As Nick mentioned, I have a family connection to Rotary. My late grandfather, Graham Kearney, was a charter member of Whangarei South Rotary, and I used to go with him as a kid. And I remember what it was like then. You know, we were definitely the quiet achievers. And I think of it as in terms of the size of the plaques on projects. You know, they were not very big, and you saw the projects that you saw out and about, the monuments to our good work in the community. It was very vocational, even as when I was a member of his club before I moved to Hamilton, after he'd passed away. You know, and a number of clubs, you still have your profession on your badge. It was very much one per profession in those days, of course, and many of you will know that well. And of course, you had to be invited or recommended, or, you know, you couldn't really just rock up and say, I wanted to join. It was very select. It was, I don't want to say elite, that's a bit mean, but it was very much, you know, they were the cream of the crop of the community back then. So that's sort of where we come from. And, you know, we think in terms of our public profile now. And I should say that, you know, the way we were, it's not bad, it's not awful or anything like that. It's just that, you know, the world's moved on, and we all know that we need to as well. But we all know that if we stay as those quiet achievers, that we will disappear. We know that this regionalisation pilot in large part has been spurred by a decline in membership, and we know that other districts and zones around the world are growing, but we're not exactly growing, of course, as we know. And of course, we know we must raise our public profile and our visibility in order to survive. And of course, unfortunately, yes, the public perception here of us can still quite often be that oft used phrase, pale, male and stale. It's a pervasive idea. And yes, I know that that phrase might annoy some of you, and I quite understand that. And I challenge you to use that anger and that annoyance to do something about it, to change that model, that public perception that's out there. I tell people I'm a Rotarian, and a large number of them look sideways at me, and almost as if to say, you're not old enough to be a Rotarian. And I sort of go, well, no, I am, and I have been one, and I've been one for, this is my 11th year as a Rotarian. So, you know, we're still fighting to some degree that old perception, because as we know, we are people of action. So, because this is how we demonstrate it, this is how we expand our reach. And this means we need to have a shift in mindset. And this is where the sales language comes in. This is where selling Rotary in order to survive. Because we know publicity is important. We've just talked about that in the previous session and earlier with Stephanie Urchik's video. But we know also, because publicity is also important, because we know we have competition out there in the volunteer space. But we know also that the nature of volunteering has changed. And that was brought up by one of the breakout sessions I was just in, where we know that, you know, people's time and their efforts and being time poor and all of that is something very important that we can't ignore. Because we have to, you know, how do we build awareness of our brand? If we build awareness of our brand, we can actually attract members as well. And we can, you know, we can really do more with what we have. We've got to show off. Showing off as a phrase, sometimes to some Rotarians go, oh, you know, it's a little bit of an awkward phrase to some Rotarians, is actually show off what we do. Because, you know, this ties into Stephanie Urchik's earlier line about reaching out to those who don't know about Rotary. And we know that one of the easiest ways of that is by talking about the work we do in the community. Projects. Why do we do them? That's actually quite an important thing to think about. It's so easy, and I have found this in all my work in Rotary so far, it's so easy to take knowledge and understanding for granted, to assume. We assume all the time with what we expect and what we think people know and what we expect them to do. It benefits the community and the group, and we contribute to society. We give back. We do get that feel-good factor out of the work we do in the community. But I want you to think a little bit further, and think a little bit further about what's the point of the project? What is the actual point? Because what other benefits could be derived from those projects, especially like the ones you talked about in the previous session to do with the foundation? Now, it is really important to know that Rotarians opt in or out of club projects based on personal preference or other time commitments. Not all Rotarians are retired. We know that. We all have different situations, part-time work, full-time work, caring for kids, caring for grandkids. You know, all Rotarians are in different situations, because we have to know who in your club will be on board with your project before pitching to the community. I still have full-time work myself. I struggle sometimes to be able to give as much as I want because of the way things are set up and the way things are done. And, you know, for example, dictionaries in schools. I'd love to be able to go and give dictionaries to kids in schools, but of course that's during school time and I'm at work and it's hard to get away. And it's thinking about being a bit more flexible with what you do as a club. We've got to change the pitch. The use of sales language is vital, and I have some examples that I'm going to go over very soon, because we are here to sell Rotary. We know potential members and potential partners, talking about further community, other community groups. They are attracted by projects. It's the easiest way to literally tell people, look what we are doing, and do you want to be a part of it? And thinking yourself is what attracted you to the project in question. We talk about what is your why. And that's what I want you to talk about, because when you're talking about your own pitch in the breakout sessions, you can think about what is your why. Because we need to move away from that broad, vague elevator pitch about what Rotary is all about. We can reel off about polio, we can reel off about things that we do, but we need to be a bit more directed and a bit more specific. When you're talking to people out in the community, we know that the first phrase that the first question they'll ask is, what's in it for me? And that's what you need to think about when you're pitching out there in the community. And this is the most important point I want to make today, probably in my presentation, is that your pitch, we know it must be local and specific to that project, your club and your area. It's unique. It's absolutely unique. Because your passion for that project will influence your audience. And for God's sake, less jargon, excuse my French there for a second, less jargon. The less jargon, the better. We know that jargon will turn people off. We know how easy it is to reel off those Rotary acronyms off the tip of the tongue, but we know that people out in the community go, what does that mean? Keep it simple. Nuts and bolts. How do we actually phrase the elevator pitch? We've got to talk about inclusive language. And yes, you can see here, I was an English teacher once upon a time. You know, we've got to be direct. You got to know your facts. Past stats, if it's a project that's happened in the past and you're doing it again this year. You know, your 5 W's and H, your who, what, when, where, why, how. Short sentences. We know that attention spans nowadays have shrunk. Okay, so we need to think about keeping it short and pithy, because you'll keep their attention. And emotive language. Do not be afraid to show how excited and passionate you are about the project. It won't turn people off. It's infectious to talk about how passionate you are about the project. Here's an example I just put together, a very rough draft example, because of course, for those who don't know, my club in Waikato Sunrise for the last few years has organised all the volunteers for Balloons Over Waikato in Hamilton. And we're involved with over 100, we have over 100 people involved over about 4 or 5 days. So the example I have here, and I'll just very briefly read it out, is that Balloons Over Waikato is one of the biggest free events in the Waikato. You should see the looks on the faces of kids and big kids when the balloons go up or when they go through our walk-through balloon. We've raised tens of thousands of dollars for local charities, and this year the chosen charity is True Colours. We need extra hands to look after the crowds, run our walk-through balloon, and sell merchandise at the Night Glow at Claudelands. Does that tick any boxes for you? Would you like to know more? We're moving away from those direct questions of, would you like to be a member of Rotary? You can't really ask that question in this day and age because it puts pressure on the people that you're asking. You talk about what you do as a club. We have the inclusive language in there. We've got the emotive language. We think about just showing what we do. Now, in your breakout groups, I want you to name a project you wish to do in your club during your upcoming year as a president. It could be a new one. It could be a continuing project from previous years. I want you to think about what's the point of the project and how does it resonate with you and why? Because, of course, as presidents, you might be driving the project yourself, or you might have someone else that's driving the project on your board or a champion, and you need to think about, but you know you're going to be involved with it in somehow, probably anyway. So obviously, pick a project you're going to be involved with. Think about what community groups could you involve that you might need to reach out to. We have my own club, for example. We look after one of the bars at Waikato Stadium for the Chiefs games, and we partner with one of the local running clubs to help provide more people, especially for the tests when we have All Blacks tests and things like that. But I want you to think about using that why to write your local and specific pitch about the project and why your club is special. It's not necessarily just thinking in terms of attracting members, it's thinking in terms of telling people what you do. So now, John, thank you. If you could please, we'll give them a few more minutes. So maybe give them another minute just to take a photo or write down those questions. And then in about a minute, could you please put them into breakout sessions? That would be great. Thank you.
This time we're going to give you a bit longer. We're going to give you 25 minutes to talk about this. 25 minutes. All right, so that there's a good chance for more discussion. I heard from the feedback that probably didn't get through it. This is quite a good discussion to actually have, and I'm sure you'll learn from a diversity of ideas once you've got that down, and John starts to put you into the breakout sessions.
Okay, we're good to
Thanks,
go.
everybody. Yep, thanks, John.
All right.
Great.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It looks like everybody is back. I hope that you had some fertile discussions in your breakout groups. And yes, we will pick on a few groups now just to give us, as Liz said previously, snappy feedback on how you got on with discussing about how passionate you are about your projects and what you can do about them. So if we can listen
All right.
to group.
I'm muting people at the minute because
You
they've
can see
come
that.
back.
Yeah, I muted someone too, so that's all right. Group 17. Group 17. I think they were the very last group there that was allocated. Have we got someone from there, please?
Yes, me.
Thank you, Sandy.
Shall I focus on one point here?
Oh, up to you how you want to do it.
Yeah,
Up to you.
I think I will on the first one, naming the project in your club, new or an existing project. So we had 3 participants in group 17 and each one of us had one particular project. We had Neha, who's from Palmerston North. They have an existing Starlight project, which is supporting mental illness. And they do things at festive times of the year like Easter and Christmas. And they donate toys and gifts and Easter eggs and toiletries at Christmas for these particular groups of people who otherwise go without even the basics of life. So it's bringing some joy into certain times of the year that perhaps mightn't be able to take place in those areas. And we had Beryl from the Bay of Islands who talked about the colour run there they have along the beach where they spray each other during the run. Sounds like great fun time. And people pay to register. This year's their second year on the project. And they also have a sort of club bonding part where they get together and prepare the packs that they give all the participants. For me, from Warkworth, we have Rotary on the Runway, which is our second year this year. It's our first last year. We have a fashion parade. And last year raised funds for a stove for the local women's centre. Was a great success and a very fun night. We even had the participants of the women's centre doing some modelling. Some of the Rotarians did some modelling. It was, yeah, it was awesome. And from Greymouth, Ray from 9999. They're doing a first off project this year called Wings and Wheels, and it's a car show. It's at the Greymouth Airport, but it's involving the car show and all the little planes at the airport. So it's sort of a twofold event. and they're raising money. People will pay to attend, and the money will go towards the men's shed, creating a men's shed. Sorry, it doesn't exist at the moment. So that's
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, I think you've touched on you know, we underestimate the variety of projects out there. So thank you for that variety of projects, and great to see you had a group from all four corners of the country as well, all the zone, the district, the different districts. So wonderful. Group 12. Group 12. Who have we got from there?
I think I just nominated myself to speak. So
That's what we do in Rotary. You know that. All good. Way to go.
So we had a number of exciting projects in our group, also from all over the country. So these projects, one new project that is being considered is taking over a swimming pool that's been closed within a town. Then there's other projects like dictionaries. We've got Pedal for Pleasure, which is a project where we've got people, families from all kinds of experience. So whether you bring your family with a toddler or an experienced biker that can sign up for that for a cycling event, and that's getting money in for you know, for other projects for youth out there. But one thing that we actually spoke about is who do you get involved with these projects? Because you know, obviously in our clubs we don't have you know, people from all over the show that could help us with delivering these projects. So Friends of Rotary is actually very important for us to bring people in that might not want to be a Rotarian, but they want to be involved with these kind of short-lived projects to help on the day. And there was someone who said that they actually they have a opportunity to become Friends of Rotary in other parts of the world as well. And I'm not sure how it works, and would really like to know how we could do that at our club as well, because that's something that I feel we have to focus on more to get people in to be Friends of Rotary. There's also some clubs that have difficulty with they might be in quite a wealthy area. So where do you actually go out for these projects? You know, so you might not have a school, a low decile school that you can go out and do a dictionary project or things like that. So there's quite a lot of interesting ideas as well for new projects. There's the Buddy Chair project where you get a couple of chairs in a school ground and paint it very vibrant colors. And apparently, and correct me if I'm not explaining it 100%, is that when a child feel that they need a friend, they just go sit down on the chair and you know, someone else can pick it up. And it's can also be something that your Interact group can become involved in, which is quite a good opportunity as well to get the youngsters involved in those projects as well. So just a quick rambling off what we discussed.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, I think Friends of Rotary, you know, we're members of our own clubs, but we're actually members of that wider family they talk about of Rotary, and there's 46,000 member clubs around the world. So, you know, I'm looking for, when I do go overseas one day, to actually be able to knock on the door of a club and just introduce myself, and, you know, it's a very level playing field like that. But I think also the important point you raise around knowing your community with deciles and with wealthy and not so wealthy areas, that's a really important point to think about, because we need to know the communities we're in and need to know, you know, the wider community that we're in. Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you for that. Group 8.
Yep, that's me. Hi, Arash from Rotorua. So look, we the main sort of project that our group sort of focused on was Rose from Otago, their Rotary Club, and something that she's close to, holds a ball, and that ball is to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House that is being built close by. The point of it is to support families and children, so a very worthy cause and something that can be promoted to other groups outside of the Rotary family. And talking of other groups, working with other groups and getting them involved assists with building on each other. It's also sales opportunity to promote Rotary. There isn't anything stopping people who are involved in other groups to still become a member of Rotary as well. And it also gives, by using other groups and getting connected with other groups, gives us additional manpower or people power, and also can bring in additional funds as well for us. With regards to the pitch, I think it was mentioned earlier on in the general conversation that it is really about a sales technique. And what we sort of spoke about in this space was to get the message out there, which is to connect with the emotional side, promote the region that you are supporting, so Otago, the service that you're providing, and then the enjoyment that you get out of it, you as a person who buys a ticket for the ball. And that by buying this ticket for the ball, you're going to have fun, opportunity to get out, but also you are supporting this worthy cause that you develop an emotional attachment to, and you're supporting your region. So it really is, using those psychological facts of sales technique. So that was sort of the general gist of what our group spoke about.
Awesome. Thank you, Rash. Yes, psychology is underrated, and we're just, we have this amazing product, and it's just about how we sell it. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Group 6. Who have we got from Group 6?
Steve?
Yeah, just doing the unmute. So Steve Corbett, Auckland Club and 9920. So one of the things that we've been involved with over a number of years is the J.R. Mackenzie Trust, and I know some of you are involved in it, which essentially has been funding sort of school uniforms, which are obviously critical and very expensive part of a number of schools' budgets. When I asked one of the providers, I said, well, what else could we do? And they said, well, the other big thing that affects the tamariki at school is eyesight. And she was involved in the Maori Health Organisation and introducing me to the ABI, the Auckland Bioengineering Institute at Auckland University, which is developing a technology around doing vision assessments for school kids at a much younger age. And she said, while the technology is evolving and it will get better and better, the issue that comes up, of course, is if kids need spectacles, how do you do that? And I know that with the J.R. Mackenzie Trust, they fund some amount, but it's obviously a limited budget. And I said, well, how big's the problem? And she thought, well, it was probably about, could be 10 to 15% of kids could be affected. And, if they're affected with vision impairments of some sort, whether it's lazy eye, whether it's myopia, they're going to struggle at school. And we all know that's a fact. I know from my own position as well. And so what we're looking to do is getting an agreement with the Auckland University in terms of how they are rolling it out amongst the schools, and then looking at the needs and the demands for it. And with organisations like J.R. Mackenzie Trust, but equally organisations such as spectacle producers, is there a way that we can service that need for kids? And it's not a decile related thing. If you're decile 1 to 10, you will have the same sort of incidence of vision loss or vision impairment for your kids. The issue is in the decile 1 to 2 is affordability. 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 is affordability of the spectacles, and that's the issue that we've got to looking to deal with. So we've actually got a bit of a model through the J.R. Mackenzie Trust, and we can replicate that model and expand it across. And it's not just an Auckland thing; it's a national thing. It'll be and again replicate what we did with Give Every Child a Future up into the Pacific. It could provide a long-term project that we could get involved with a lot of brand recognition based at the research side of it out of Auckland University, but also across the schools and involvement at a much earlier age and exposure to things that Rotary can help with. So it's early days, but everyone is socialising the idea. People are very enthusiastic, and so there's a bit of work to do in terms of linking back into the Auckland University and then putting a project together. But that's one of the things that's work in progress at the moment. But hopefully we'll start getting some traction post-July as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I mean, you can really see, I haven't heard many pictures per se coming out, but I can definitely tell, and everyone can definitely tell, the passion that people have for these projects, and the picture will just come from your passion for the project and explaining what it is and what it's about, and how, all these, the bigger picture of it, which is awesome. So let's move on to group 2. Anyone from group 2?
Yes, I'm here, and I'm glad you made mention that you hadn't heard much in the way of pictures, because we don't have one, but we had a lot of good discussion. And some of the projects are just really so interesting, like the Carols by Candlelight on Wanganui that's been going this year. It'll be its 75th year. And another one is upgrading a park that Rotary founded 50 years ago, and that's the first time I've heard of the Interact as a high school club, and someone else mentioned it as well. So that was really interesting from my perspective of community groups I wasn't even aware of. And there was also the one for the Wellington Hospital, and there's a lot of working there with other groups, business associations, and how they're fundraising. And something that came out that I thought was really interesting is the issuance of appreciation awards for groups that you're working with or individuals, about Rotary appreciating them by issuing them with appreciation awards, which I hadn't thought of, and it's a really good idea as part of, showing appreciation. So yeah, lots of good discussion, and for me personally, a lot of, just things that I can tuck away and take with me.
Awesome, thank you, Ella. Yes, I think we can sometimes, especially when we involve other groups, you can thank them verbally and things like that, but sometimes we can sort of take their participation for granted, and it's almost like doing more of the debrief. Sometimes the debrief can be a bit arbitrary as well, from the project itself, and part of that is, as you say, those appreciation awards are really well received, so it's a good idea, absolutely. Group 3. Who have we got from group 3?
Hi, hi everyone. I am just describing on behalf of DJ Pratt from 9922 and Mike from 9940 and Bill down in 9999 with me down in this district, and Ian 9940. And I think the message across the board is that we're all looking for something that is specific to our community, which is not always easy, because particularly Ian and I have struggles with, we've got a couple of different communities, like not just one town. So I've got 3 sort of rural community groups. So finding a project that is going to appeal to everyone with a wider picture, like, he's involved in, just wide, it's a health, it was a hospital, I think, rather than a specific community project. Building relationships is really important, getting on board sponsorships, and I think that idea of appreciation awards is a really, really great idea, and not only for external but internal, for people who've done great jobs in areas. Having fun, is just about engaging. If we're going to spend time away from our family and friends and things, then it's got to be fun, and it's got to create a vibe that is like gets people excited about projects. Lots of lower socioeconomic and health focus, a couple of projects. For myself, I'd like to look at a more environmental project. We haven't got it yet, but looking at something of the critically endangered long-tailed bats that reside in Geraldine. So just looking at partnering with DOC and looking at some specific ways that we can, support, draw attention to, and also there's a group or company that already makes the t-shirts with bats on them and things. So partnering with some groups there to maybe draw awareness and get some money and funding and approach for some funding for that for next year. Ian was talking about that a couple of problems they've had with their fund cycle ride has stalled because there's a lot of costs with traffic management. They've managed to look at potentially getting a sponsor to take over those costs. So it's just about, I think with all of our groups, is just thinking about projects, how we're going to make them work, good partnerships, but also with strong branding, because I didn't know that what is it? Sorry, I've just lost where I've written that one down. Bill, about the this is in Wellington, the Martinborough Fair. Thank you. That's right. It's not. I didn't realise it was Rotary. So I mean, that's years and years without putting Rotary at the front of that sentence. Is I think really critical. We want to get on and start speaking about Rotary, and also reinforcing that at every touch point and branding, keeping it consistent and getting to the media and talking about what we do and just saying how great all the projects are and the people involved. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Yeah, I mean, I think also to explain the point previously, you talked about trying to encompass more than one community. Go to do something just with that one particular, you said that you had 3 communities. Go to just that one community and do something with them. And, you know, I've got a point just in my brief wrap up around how, you know, your year will go fast as a president. It will go much faster than you think it will. And we only have so much time. So, you know, we do what we can, but absolutely. And hopefully, yeah, thank you for your points. They were really good. So I'll just wrap up just by sharing my screen just one more time. Thank you very much to everyone who contributed. That was just awesome. So if I just very briefly just go back to my very last points, so just my final thoughts. You know, we are volunteers. We can't forget that. We're here because we want to be here, and all for our own reasons. Okay, we're volunteers. And of course, as I just said before, don't think you have to do everything in your presidential year, especially when you've probably got all these wonderful ideas you've just heard from these projects and the pictures that could come from them. Think long term in terms of change in your clubs if you want to change, and you know, don't reinvent the wheel as well. You know, that silo-based thinking is hopefully a thing of the past. You know, because your year will go much faster than you think it will. Because we must sell Rotary if it is to survive. Speak your truth about Rotary. Speak what Rotary means to you. Okay, and everyone's going to do that in their own inimitable fashion. Okay, build goodwill and better friendships. Hopefully you got the reference there to the 4-way test by selling how incredible Rotary is for you and how irresistible, to use Stephanie Urchick's line, it can be for others. Thank you all very much. I'll now hand back to Liz and Nick.
Thank you, Aaron. I hope you found that a really useful session. The benefit of these sessions come out of their breakout session, don't they, Liz?
Absolutely do.
Yeah,
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
And yeah, and we will need to have that poll too, please, John, for that session just before we break for lunch. If you can spare us a couple of minutes, it would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, we'll share these results. Can you share those results, John? Can everybody see those themselves? Most people got something out of that session. That's really, really good. Yeah, I know it's challenging for us in leadership positions to think about how we're doing, but I refer back to Stephanie's video. We've got to try some things. So we're going to talk about increase our ability to adapt. So, you know, if we're not getting these members coming because we're doing projects, then let's try something else. Let's try something new. We're people of action. We get things done. I thought they were really useful. I enjoyed sitting in the group that I did. But I think it's time for lunch, isn't it, Liz?
It absolutely is. Thank you, everyone. And if we can come back, please, no later than 1:25. That would be just brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for your attention this morning. I know it's hard sitting on Zoom, but what wonderful discussions you're all having.
Yep.
Fabulous. Thank
See you back at 1:25.
Okay.
Well, Liz, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a nice break and a good stretch.
Yeah.
And Liz, I think you're going to
Yeah,
introduce
I
us
am.
to
It's
Edith.
I am
Excellent.
indeed. It's my great pleasure to ask Edith Cheney, who is our facilitator from 9920, who's going to be leading the discussion around enhancing engagement and ability to adapt. And I know that Edith is well versed in this, and you will have a very enjoyable session. So take it away, Edith.
Thanks, Liz. Let me share my screen. Okay, everyone, some of the thumbs up. We're all okay there? We can see the screen.
See the screen,
Yes.
but you need to put it into full screen mode, please,
Yeah.
Edith.
Screen. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're not seeing your slideshow.
Hang on,
Edith.
hang on. Yep.
That's
that's
it. Well done.
Beautiful. Thank you,
There you
Chicano. Always need support. You just have to ask for help. Always remember that. Kia ora koutou katoa, i te kaupapa o te ahihahi. Welcome back from lunch and to this afternoon's session, actually around creating magic, the club experience. This is where the magic happens in Rotary. Love hearing all the projects, but let's refocus ourselves back into our clubs and, more importantly, where and what our clubs could become. Ko Edith Cheney aho, my name's Edith Cheney. Ko Rotorua aho. I whakapapa to the thermal wonderland of the Bay of Plenty, Rotorua, educated and bred in Auckland, Tamaki Makaurau. I'm currently the president of Manukau Sunrise Rotary Club, a breakfast club, and I will continue to be president-elect in the 2024-25 year as our response to regionalisation. Also, 40 years today, we became Rotary whānau members, and 4 years ago, I became a Rotarian. So it's my privilege to be your facilitator for this session. So let's get going on that magic carpet ride. Learning outcomes. To create member experiences to grow Rotary. To enhance engagement and participation. To explore ways of diversifying your membership. Well, current, so it's current and relevant. Responding to the needs of our people that we serve is great, but Rotary is also a need to show comfort, care, and belonging to one another. An important part of our commitment is ensuring that all of our members and other participants are well engaged throughout their Rotary experience. By giving Rotarians the opportunities to learn, to grow, and to lead, enables clubs to provide the best value to every member. Fully engaged and empowered participants will keep coming back and will be eager to continue to serve as people of action for life. So here's our story that I'd love to share. 25 years, the legacy. Last year, 25 years, the Rotary Club of Manukau Sunrise celebrated on the 11th of 2023. We love to have fun. So what better way than to showcase us having fun after a full breakfast and then getting ready to do our project. Through COVID, when the world changed, when Rotary changed, when we changed, we had to do things differently. So this was one of the first conferences to try and bring people back into an event that celebrated not only our district in 9920, but the first inaugural event for Matariki Aotearoa New Zealand. So on June the 24th, with a couple of others from the government and other dignitaries, and lots of iwi from across the motu, we were at Te Papa celebrating this district conference 9920. Then we got our hands dirty by the urban jungle, and this is our Puanui Stream Environment Project, because we noticed that our projects did not have an environment focus. A lot were literacy and education and fighting disease. So this was our call to action, was to do something different. We did the tag on, tag off polio all trains. We walked in the Auckland Domain to end polio now. We did jammies in June because Dame Valerie Adams told us to, for the Rotary Middlemore Foundation. And we also helped in doing other things within the building of gardens with our partner Oki Charity. We visited in our meeting times vocational sites like the Ara Education Trust. 5 secondary schools in our district have a building academy, and their students come to build and renovate homes that then go back into the community. Then, as the first country in the world to see the sun, we were online with the Rotary Club of Bangalore, who were doing a 24-hour meeting across the world. What a great initiative. And we were the first ones to do that. And finally, we got together as a cluster to have the DG visit, which traditionally has always been one club, one visit. We thought we'd do things differently and get together as a club and share our experiences with DG Benita Nan. So we've also been told that giving meaningful opportunities for clubs, they want to have enjoyment. They want lively and interesting sessions. They want to include Rotary learning in their meetings. They want the flexibility of varied formats. And as we've heard this morning, projects and events that actually capture member interest. So here we are, leadership. Confidence in our leadership looks like empowering people with safe, respectful and inclusive environment, inspiring people with knowledge and from the Learning Centre and each other, developing a shared vision through our annual reviews, and leading change for improvement. Personal growth. This is part of being a Rotarian and a part for us to ensure that our new members learn not only about what we do, but how we do it. So attend where you can, Rotary District, zone conferences, and annual conventions. Join district, zone, learning seminars and webinars. Complete relevant learning modules in the Learning Centre and those of interest. There is a dearth of them now, considering 4 years ago, there was not very many at all. And use your skills in roles and opportunities that are provided within the club environment. Meaningful service, Rotary in action. What can we do within our clubs? Inspiring action and meaningful impact in both our local and in our international communities. Projects of high interest and community need through the community assessment tool. So again, projects this morning, great range, great variety. Use the community assessment tool to nail what that plan could and should look like. Collaborating with other businesses for greater reach, and to review projects for their relevance and need. And our fifth area, connections. We are a humanitarian organisation. We are social animals. We need connection. The connection in person and online. Those are our new options, our new norms. The hybrid model is here to stay. Building personal connections is one of the main reasons that people stay in Rotary. Building a business network is one of the key reasons people join Rotary. Building a people network is what keeps people in Rotary. Incorporating opportunities to grow each other, to get to know one another and have fun with each other keeps us in Rotary. So some resources that I would like you to get curious about, to go into the Learning Centre if you haven't already. These tools actually are your friends to open up opportunities on how you can actually review what your club is doing, how it's doing it, and more importantly, what could you do next? Strengthening your membership. Do the annual health check. Member assessment tools, a great little range in there. Interviews for new members, potential members. Diversifying your club. And creating experiences for prospective members. These are just a few of the tools and links that you can access in the Learning Centre. So please do get curious. Ngā mihi nui, thank you. Leadership is not about a title or a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. Ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa nō reira. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. And for the breakout groups, here are our questions. If you'd like to take a photograph of these. And you may be in new groups, as John said, because we have different people that have come in and out this afternoon. I look forward to reporting back and sharing with you what your findings are. Enjoyable and have fun, a great leader, what's offered to you to grow you in Rotary, and to share the orientation process. Because from my experience, that's an area that perhaps we haven't been as well prepared for. So great to get new members, but how do we induct them and orientate them into Rotary? Kia ora. Any questions from anyone? Liz, do I hand it back over to you? John, breakout groups? On mute, Liz.
You can hand it back to John, who will open up the rooms. Thank you, John.
How long do they have this time?
They have got 25 minutes.
25
No,
minutes.
sorry. Yes, no. We've got yeah, we've got 25 minutes again.
25
Thank
minutes.
you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll open the rooms now then.
Kia ora.
I only made that 20 minutes, but all right.
It was 25 on my stopwatch.
Was it?
Yep.
Oh, let's see if we're all back in the room, John.
We are all back.
Back in the room. Thank you. Great discussions, particularly from my group that I joined in. Thank you for that. I'm wondering if we can report back. Hopefully I'm not doubling up on groups. Group 7, please. Group 7. Is that you, Steve?
We were lucky enough to have a satellite group, so they meet around.
Oh, hang on, Vicky. We're not groups. Were we group 7? Yes, we were.
You
So,
were group 7.
Yep, we were. Thank you. Carry on, Vicky.
Well, you can go to another one if you want.
No, I want to go to you, Vicky.
Okay. Oh, okay. We were lucky enough to have a satellite group, a club in our lot. So they only meet around fellowship and projects. So they have a meeting every now and again at all together with some other group, and have RILA candidates and people like that at them. We talked about sergeant sessions, which is a yes, no. Some people still like them and some don't. Some make them fun. Some groups are only meeting every fortnight to talk about what they're basically doing, like, book fairs and things like that.
Just on mute, Vicky.
Oh, that must have been the dog, sorry.
That's okay, we love dogs.
He's being a little bit, I think he thinks I've neglected him.
Give him a pat from us.
Yeah, I've just sent him on his way, so hopefully. We looked at new members when you get them in, having introduction packages or budding them up with new members, with older members, and get them into a project straight away so they feel important. And we've talked about that with the satellite group. They found a lot of their members were really interested in regionalisation and multi-club grants and what they can do with them. And then we got on to what makes a good club leader, and that was engage, listen, vision, delegation, knowledgeable and supportive. And learning for Rotary is My Rotary, roles, confidence, conferences, and so forth.
Thanks, Vicky. Thank you for sharing some great insights there, and it was lovely to have a satellite club in the room for our discussion. Let's go to group 10, please.
Good afternoon from Group 10. My name is Rex Morris, a past governor, a past president, and a president-elect. So we are recycling. What makes a club, nice club, enjoyable club? It has to be family. And you just mentioned there before the dog played up. Do you invite members to take their dogs to Rotary? I don't know. We've never put that question out there, but I wonder what would happen if you did. It's a good question. The other thing is that we talked about don't have a big long table, have tables that will accommodate chatting amongst the little group, maybe 10 to 8 people, depending on what you've got, but 4 is probably a bit limiting, so you have to increase a little bit. So have communicatable tables.
Excuse me, Rex.
Yes.
I think you've changed groups.
Yeah,
Sorry?
you're group 16. You're room 16.
I was 16. Oh, well, look, I'm sorry. I was number 10. Don't pick me again because I've had my show. 16, go ahead.
I think we're 10. We're looking for Rex, but lovely chatting with you and hearing back from your group. Thank you. Over to you, Lynette.
I was beginning to think, Rex was there, but he wasn't there this afternoon. Was he having the same conversation as what we were?
Off you go.
All right. So a lot of the points that have already been covered. But we also mentioned about the sergeants or necessarily fine sessions. got to make them fun. And I mentioned that I had done away with the sergeant session as such, just called it a happy dollar. And everybody just contributes a story that's a positive story that's happened recently. So there's varying sides of that. We've also said that Niha in Palmerston North is quite a new member, and she's been made to feel very welcome, but also given the equal importance and opportunities right from the start, and meeting half an hour early to allow friendship. So before the meeting starts, just gathering and having a social chat. She uses using social media to get out, and share some positive stories with her daughter, and socialization, and providing veggies, and just looking after the mental health of your members and your community, helping basic needs of belonging, and that has helped the family violence statistics lower. Just varying the meetings, not necessarily a weekly meeting. I've decided that we've got a number of our members that will meet on a Tuesday, go for a cycle ride, 30 Ks, just for the coffee. They'll come to meeting on Tuesday night again. The Wednesday they'll chop wood for that we do a wood project. The same people, and then they'll meet again on Thursday morning and go for another bike ride. So it's not necessarily about all the meeting. It's the socialization. For some of those members have lost partners, and it's just being involved. And yeah, it's looking out for that. The orientation as such is there again. It's making everybody feeling inclusive, not necessarily getting too fussy. And I think it was mentioned before about the mentoring. And yeah, just making everything sort of more fun, not so stuffy, and giving the empowerment to be able to help by using your common knowledge to help maybe a committee with some meeting skills, and just being part of a group. You can use your skills, your fundraising to say sponsor a student to get to Science and Technology Forum or Outward Bound or something like that, collaboratively, and just yeah, that's basically what we were chatting about.
Thanks, Lynette. Loving the whānau focus and caring for one another around our mental health and our sense of belonging. Some great takeouts from that, and what a beautiful part of the country to go on cycle adventures. Kia ora. Group 11, please. Group 11.
Yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Ray.
I've got about 100 pages here of notes because it was
just one will do.
It was just a very interesting feedback session.
Fabulous.
As far as I'll just have a look what makes your club meeting fun. It's interesting that most of us found that getting together for fun was a major part of the session. Having a relaxing environment. One president brings along his guitar and sings, and they change the word to Rotary meanings. Having speakers, doing things like a pink walk together, quizzes, etc., and having games like there's one game that they play in the Samoa Rotary Club of Tuileva, which is called Queen of Hearts, and it's a fundraiser where you pay for your cards, and then and it rolls on week after week until the Queen of Hearts is hit, and then the money half goes to the Rotary member and half goes to to some sort of Rotary fund, and often the Rotary member donates their money, and that can actually be quite a lot of money apparently. So I thought that was a good social one.
Talk to us, Ray, about leadership, club leadership.
Club leadership.
Great share.
It was difficult, actually. It was difficult to read through all the notes because everybody had their say, and we didn't do it in groups. But I think club leadership is a chance to share opportunities, keep the club up to date with what's going on, share the load. I think those are the things that came out of it. A great leader has mentors, came also from Titilia, and this is her second year as president, and she still wants to know more, and she has 2 or 3 mentors that she reacts with. So I thought that was a really, really good idea. Next one, what opportunities have been offered to give? Yeah, the opportunities are to give you, let you grow in Rotary are offered by Rotary nationally. So there's a lot of things that we can hook into to grow ourselves. And I think also that goes hand in hand with having those mentors, which is a really good idea. The club member orientation, actually, that's one that some of the clubs found that they could work on. One club has invite a friend along and involve them in projects. Another club, and I've missed a whole page here, so.
It's okay, Ray. You've probably hit all the major.
Probably, so I've had my say, but yeah, I think the main thing that came out was that we do things together and have a lot of social opportunities to get together. That's not necessarily on a Rotary night, but appreciate each other.
Thank you. Some great ideas there, and probably the takeout one for me is where you can grow perhaps your orientation or induction, and again that whānau matter. So that's great. 16, group 16. We're getting to the high numbers now.
Right. I used to be in 10, but now I'm 16. So kia ora again.
Maybe just 2 main points, a couple of points from you, Rex, because you started before, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, I jumped the gun. Yeah. The social aspect of Rotary just doesn't have to be at the meetings. It's probably different interaction at projects, which is really good. And also clubs around the Nelson area has been having Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where 5 people or 4 people go to a house and have a meal, and they're all Rotarians, and you either pay or you contribute. But that's a good social, intimate in a word, and you're not swamped by 30 odd people in the same room.
Do you invite new members to those Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Sorry?
Do you invite new members to that Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Oh, yes. Yeah, anybody. And in fact, one club invited non-Rotarians. And so you had a non-Rotarian and say 3 Rotarians in their partners. So that's good. And that's, talking about, and we have a formal induction, but it's gone into got a lot of dust on the project. But the we invite the family and we give a gift to the partner. That's one thing that we do. And I was telling our group, I went to Seattle Club where there's 600 members, and they have a cohort of people that have inductions. And so after each lunchtime session, they have 4 4-hour sessions of Rotary knowledge to prospective members, and then they induct them all. Well, induct that group of 4 or 5 members at each meeting. And so they have old and young, and they are all at the meeting, not 621, but about 200, 300 members. And that, it was a fantastic club meeting. But that's what they did. They did more formal training, and the web, the Learning Centre is good, but I don't know that Joe Rotarian, or that's male or female Joe, wants to go and learn. The keen ones will. I had a session this last year of Rotary knowledge where I had 2 minutes to talk about Rotary. This year I've instructed a man to talk about archives, because we are now 98. And so just to bring members into the history of our club, we have an archive spot.
I'm just going to wind you up there, Rex, and
Yeah.
acknowledge that it's great that you've got archives, and acknowledging where you've come from in the past.
Oh, yeah.
And also to ensure that the momentum going forward, things have changed in Rotary, and that Learning Centre and other resources are there for not only new members, but certainly for your current members. So thanks for sharing. That's great. And our final group is group 17, please. Not sure who that is.
There was no group 17, Edith.
No 17.
Okay. There's no 17. Let's make it then. I've got on my little ones here. We've got 12. 13. Lucky 13.
Henry, Margaret.
Final
Mark,
group.
Ollie,
Lucky
Sally.
13. Can't read your notes, Bill.
How about 9?
We've had 9 before. We're just trying to spread the love and spread the corridor across all our groups. If there's no one from that group, I'm going to suggest, Nick, we go back to you, and it's a wrap from Creating Magic, the club experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Edith.
Thank you, everyone.
That's a really good session. I had a really good session in mine. It's as one of our participants said, it starts at the door. It starts at the door. If you don't feel welcome, and you don't feel, as Stephanie has often said, a sense of belonging. And she talked about our Rotary family, and we know how important the club experience actually is. So thank you very much for a really good, terrific session. I think as we sit in front of TV screens, can we just get up and stretch for 5 minutes and come back at 2:30, and then we're going on to a session on regionalisation, which I'm sure you're all really keen. There's lots happening in that space. So back at 2:30 for regionalisation. Thanks, everybody.
Please answer the poll first.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
I was just going to
thank you.
remind you about that. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I knew I was.
Maybe I'll leave it up until they come back.
Yes, maybe. I'm sorry about that. Should have put the poll.
Great idea. Thanks, John.
Is the poll?
disappeared.
Oh. We put the poll back up again at all if some people seem to have missed it.
I think what happens, Liz, is everybody has the opportunity to actually close it.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and I notice if you close it, then it closes it for everyone.
I agree, Janine. I think somebody has clicked it off, thinking that they've had their answer. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's because they think it's just showing for them.
There we are.
Here it's back again.
There it is again. Thank you for that, Janine. Appreciate it.
Perhaps we leave it up there till we start the next session. People can, Liz, and you're going to get Jade to
I'll introduce Tony and Ingrid. Yep.
Actually, it was me. I thought it is, if I close it, it will close it for me. I never knew.
Don't worry.
That's all right. No worries. We're in a
I'll
safe
be on my-
environment. We're just learning. No problems.
Yeah.
Nick and or Liz, are you there? Liz?
Yeah.
Can you just confirm we have no more breakout groups?
No, we don't. The last session is an open group, and I've reiterated that with Jay as well.
Good.
It's an open group, open discussion session with everybody. That means that we'll all of our facilitators here will have to make sure that they keep their eyes open on all of the pages for hands up. So
yeah, it means a couple on page 1 and a couple on page 2, of course, because there's 2 pages of people. So
I know, I know.
4 pages. I've got 4 pages.
I've got 4 pages actually.
You've got a smaller screen, obviously.
Yeah. We're not up with your scale, John. We know.
If you have the participant window open, I think people raising their hands go to the top of the list.
They do, absolutely. Like Ingrid has just got her hand up, and she's gone to the top of my first screen.
Yep.
Hi, Ingrid.
Hi, Ingrid.
Yeah.
Hello.
How do you, so if it's going to be an open question session, how do you want to handle the answers? Will you moderate that, Liz? And
yes, I'm happy to moderate that.
Yep.
And also, I think we'll get Jay to actually monitor the chat session. People can put things in the chat, or any of you facilitators. If you see anything in the chat, we can monitor those as well.
Okay, that's good.
Such a large group, Ingrid.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I was thinking. If they're putting questions in the chat, we might not be able to get to answer all of them. But
no, not at all. But we will save the chat and see what the questions are, Ingrid, and we can always go back and answer some of those after the session's finished, perhaps as well.
And there might be some themes in there, and of course, a lot of the clubs are going through establishment meetings now.
Yep.
Just in these last few weeks. So that might be useful. They're going, well, okay, what happens? What should I expect?
Of question and answers from the floor. You're also able to go and use the chat box function and put in any questions or observations in that chat box, which will be monitored by all of our facilitators. So thank you, Ingrid. I'll ask you to share the PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. And just while I'm bringing it up and getting it going, there we go. Is that looking all right at your end?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. So I'll just start by greeting everybody. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Lovely to be here. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share with you an update on regionalisation. And I will begin by thanking
Liz and Nick and many others on the screen who have been participating. There are over 100 volunteers involved in this regionalisation pilot planning and establishment phases to get us to this point. And I haven't counted how many hours, but it is a lot. So today, this is an opportunity to give you an update on how we are seeking to transform Rotary and Rotaract in our zone. The map you see on the screen is our zone, Zone 8. We are one of only 2 pilots in the Rotary world who are being given the opportunity to try a new model for supporting our Rotary clubs. And the other one is in Rotary Great Britain and Ireland. Their model is different from ours. So it truly is a regionalisation pilot trying different things. So one of the questions people frequently ask is, why are we doing this? Well, hopefully you are all aware of our membership numbers, that we have had a 25% loss of members in the last 10 years. It really is quite frightening for a whole host of reasons. And, you know, all of us who've been governors, assistant governors, club presidents have tried our best, but it hasn't interrupted the decline. So we are having to do something different. If we don't, then we're obviously not going to be able to have the impact we want to in Rotary. So we decided in my year as district governor, 1819, when this all started, that we were not going to be the generation that stands by and does nothing. So we've been working since then to put together this new model that started on the 1st of January and on the 1st of July this year will take full effect. It's designed to give us a boost, to give us a real boost. And that boost is going to come not only from the regional council, but also, whoops, Sudosi, my transition isn't working. There we go. Through you collaborating, through clubs collaborating, through growing our Rotary community groups so that we have more impact and get more profile in our community, and by starting new clubs. So we'll be looking at all 3 strategies, amongst other things, to grow Rotary and transform the experience and create very special experiences for our members, as you've just been talking about. Key focus, of course, is on growing membership, but there are a number of other areas as well. So I'm going to ask Tony to take us through the basics of the new operating model. So over to you, Tony.
Yeah, kia ora. Thanks, Ingrid, and kia ora, everybody. It's good to be here today, and certainly good to see so many familiar faces. I just want to acknowledge all the hard work that goes into running an event like this, and congratulate you all for participating and hopefully seeing some of the magic in Rotary that is now on the windscreen and in front of us. But, you know, and as Ingrid said, like, the world's changed, and in this part of the world, we need to change as well. So this slide here just illustrates just where Rotary clubs and members are, and the actual support now and the focus around clubs and members. So we've got the Rotary community leaders, and you'll all be very well aware of that concept that's coming down the line now. We've got Rotary specialists that are being formed now to provide direct support into clubs in a variety of ways, and a regional council that will oversee the operation of the zone. So that's going to give us good focus, and so we can increase our impact and increase our reach. Thank you, Ingrid. So this slide here just shows the club support network, and just the outline and support that now is available will be available for Rotary. and Rotary. So we'll have portfolio committees. We've got specialists. We're going to have the Rotary community leaders and their groups, of which you're all part of. The district governors play a key part here as well in supporting and collaborating with everybody across the district. And then we've got all the support still sitting in RISPO. And in fact, that support has been enhanced and beefed up to support us through the pilot, which is great. So underneath pinning all that is the regional council. So as you can see that graph going across there, we have the council underneath supporting all the frontline people. Alongside that is Rotary International and of course the Rotary Foundation. Thanks, Ingrid. So looking ahead and where we're going. So the Rotary community leader is going to play a very vital part in the structure. You know, we are opening it up and it's available to Rotarians and Rotary clubs to step up and be that facilitator, connector and coach. You know, we've got clubs that are looking forward to the collaboration and sharing ideas and learning off each other as well. So there's a lot of work that's going to be done in that community leader role, in that Rotary community leader role. The Rotary specialist area is a new concept for us, and I think it's a very exciting concept. And that is where Rotary clubs and presidents like yourselves will have direct access to expert subject matter. You know, we're setting up systems now which will be automated, where you can actually find and get and gather that support real quickly. So that's a new concept, and I think it's a very exciting enhancement for presidents coming into clubs. And then we've got the portfolio committees, and their job is to look at the bigger picture, collaborate, develop the strategy, and actually then share that with the rest of the network. So we've got some really good infrastructure now coming along. Thanks, Ingrid. This slide here just gives an overview of the size of the project and where it all fits. So the regional council, as you can see in the green lines there, supported obviously with the portfolio committee. So there's 8 of those committees, and on the left-hand side you'll see the groupings there. And this is going to give us actually some good reach into partners and new relationships and organisations, along with corporates that want to deal with Rotary, where we can now start talking with one voice. So there's going to be some great work coming out of there, which will flow down and support clubs and help with growth. But looking across the chart there, we've got the portfolio leads, we've got a Rotaract nominee, and then there's the Rotary Communities nominee, and that will be a vital position on the board. And that's where the Rotary community leaders will have input and advice and feedback through that position on the board. Thanks, Ingrid. So just where we're up to at the moment, the timelines and just where we are. This year's been particularly busy with lots happening, but the regional council is now all in place, and we're just working on a couple of positions there. The DEI position is yet to be filled, and then obviously the Rotary Community Leaders nominee as well. So we're working on that now. The portfolio committees are being formed as we speak, and those applications closed on the 29th of February. I am sure everybody on the call here now has been informed of their community groups, and they've all been set up now, and we look forward to that dialogue starting to happen as we start looking for community leaders to come up and step through. So we've got tranches, and that is we are carefully migrating some of the key areas of the old structure into the new structure, aiming for the end of June. So 2 of the key areas are membership and public image. They're the 2 key areas that we need to get resource correctly, get the strategy right, so then we can support clubs for growth. Thank you, Ingrid.
Right, sorry, it's just been stubborn. There we go. All right, so let's have a look at what this all means for you as a club leader. And in particular, let's look first at the Rotary community groups and community leaders, because these two elements of our new operating model are really important for you as club leaders. As Tony said, all clubs have now been advised of which community group they are in, and I'm going to take you through the steps that are involved in getting your community group established and your community leader elected. So first of all, you'll be invited to get together with all the other members of your community group to set the scene and talk about how you want to work together and start thinking about how you're going to go about electing your new community leader. So what will happen are what Liz referred to as establishment meetings. And these will be facilitated meetings organised by your district leadership team. That facilitator will be provided with a model agenda and a presentation, so all clubs are having the same experience. But of course, your discussions will be individual to you. These meetings will all happen from now until the middle of March. And on the screen, you can see 3 questions. These are the kinds of questions that we foresee that you as club members will discuss. So as presidents-elect on the screen, please make sure that your president, who is the one who will have received the notification of your community grouping, has shared it with you. Hopefully they have, but I had heard of the odd instance where it hadn't been shared, and that you are also part of that conversation. So that, you know, deciding how you want to work together, what you want to work on, what sort of support is going to be unique to each community group. You will document that in a form so that that information that comes from your meeting is going to be available to candidates from your clubs who put their name forward to be your Rotary community leader. So the second step after that initial establishment meeting is to invite nominations and elect your Rotary community leader. Now, this is really a critically important role, an exciting new role, because this is a facilitation role. Community leaders are going to help their clubs to grow, to collaborate, to do projects together. They'll ensure that they have access to resources. They'll be connecting. Like I hear about one thing that somebody wants to do, and I connect them with somebody else because they also are talking about doing a project like that, for example. The community leaders will liaise collaboratively with the district governors, with the specialist network, with the portfolio committees, and through the Rotary community leaders nominee with the regional council. But they're not reporting relationships. These are supportive, collaborative relationships. Your community leader will be elected for 2 years. And as I said, all the community leaders in our zone, around 105, will elect their Rotary community leaders nominee who will sit on the regional council. So we're encouraging you to start having conversations in your club with people and about the role of the community leader, so that we get plenty of candidates putting their names forward for what will be a very exciting new facilitator role. People need to be good at building relationships, thinking strategically, connecting, facilitating. And we've set a standard of 4 years in Rotary, However, if you have people who you think would be amazing community leader, maybe they haven't been there quite 4 years, it's all about having the right person for the job. So, but you don't have to have been a president or any other officer in order to put your name forward to be a community leader. And if you're a president, you can still put your name forward to do that role. Step 3 is to have your first meeting once your community leader has been elected. I should say the elections will happen within your district. So your district governor, your current district governor, will be running the election in each district. So once the community leader's been elected, they'll call a meeting together of the community group, and that will be their chance to start getting to know each other, start to think about creating a growth plan, and looking at how they can create community impact, grow Rotary's profile, grow their club, and so on. And we have put together a number of resources to support those discussions. And in your clubs, where else are you going to get support from? Obviously from your community leader, but peer support from your group, other members, other presidents of your community grouping. As was mentioned, the Rotary specialists and the portfolio committees will be developing strategies and providing resources, creating initiatives that you will also be able to access. So just in summary, you've got 3 steps: setting the scene and preparing to elect, making sure you get good candidates, having your election, 1 vote per club. Then once the community leader is elected, the community group will get together and start their planning. So for you as a president-elect, this is really where this is an opportunity for you to share something new with your club members and think about how you and your club can make the most of being part of your community group and what support could that community group provide to your club. So this is the timeline. We're now obviously in March, where everyone's been advised and the establishment meetings have been set up, and they will happen over the next few weeks. Facilitated discussions. March and April is when we'll be seeking the nominations and holding the elections for the community leaders for each community group. Then once those community leaders have been confirmed, the first meetings with the community groups will be set up. And during May and June, the community leaders will be experiencing a very comprehensive and carefully designed learning program, which Nick and others on the screen have been involved in putting together. So this is specifically for Rotary community leaders. It'll be a combination of online and face-to-face. So I'm now going to hand over to Tony for him to talk about the other key area of support, which is the specialist network.
Yeah, thanks, Ingrid. Certainly some exciting stuff happening there. So here I want to talk about Rotary specialists, because I think this is a new and an exciting area, and it's a type of support that we haven't had before that is very focused in supporting clubs. So clubs are going to find it very easy to communicate with specialists, and there'll be more announcements in that area shortly on how that's going to happen. But essentially, you're going to have a library or an encyclopedia of people and knowledge that clubs and club presidents can call and get advice. And I think that's going to be fantastic. We're going to be checking that they're experts, they've got the knowledge, and they know what they're talking about and can provide good subject matter expert advice. So they're going to be people that have been in Rotary maybe just a few months, they're people that have never held positions outside their club before. We're welcoming Rotaractors to come on board as well. So there's a whole raft of people already putting their hands up saying, look, I want to be involved here. I've got something to give back to clubs. This works. The beauty is if they don't know where to go, they'll have a pool of resource where they can network off each other and come up with solutions. We've got to get quicker at providing solutions and answers to support clubs to grow. So that also is available, and the position descriptions are available on our Creating Tomorrow website. The positions are open and will continue to be open until we have sufficient numbers coming through. We've had a good response so far, but we want to build and have good capacity in this area to support you as presidents and your execs in running the club. Thanks, Ingrid. So examples of Rotary specialists. So these could be people that are involved in perhaps a little bit of conflict in the club and the president needs some advice and some wisdom, or wanting to run a big event and where to get that information from and who needs to be involved, or you may want some marketing support. There will be a wide range of resource available in this area to clubs and club presidents. So we're very excited in this area because for some time I hear and have heard from clubs where they don't know where to go, they don't know who to call, the 0800 number doesn't work, or that person's left, or they're no longer there, or the website doesn't work. So there'll be a lot of work going on in this area, and I think it's very, very exciting. So in wrapping up, I just want to say a couple of things. In this part of the world, we have been given a unique opportunity. As Ingrid said, we're one of 2 pilots in the world. And recently, when I was in America, there are many districts that are asking Rotary International, or many zones wanting to be pilots, to actually try something new in Rotary. So we have been given this opportunity by Rotary International to actually design, to develop and execute a structure and a growth plan here in this part of the world that suits us. So I urge everybody to jump on board and give this a go. There's no doubt about it. We do need to change, and the world has changed. And this is our moment in Zone 8, and New Zealand plays a very key part in that zone. So, we're well represented in most areas, but we have to stand up and actually put up ideas and give input and feedback. There's some points there on the slide on how that can happen. I think it's probably fair to say that we won't get everything right the first time, but we are nimble, we're brave, and I think between all of us, we can certainly show the magic of Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you both, Tony and Ingrid, for that very comprehensive and updating us on regionalisation. We do have a couple of quick questions here that I think would be benefit to share with everyone. One of them was, what do you see as the benefits to individuals as members to grow membership, please?
I'll start off and then Tony might like to add. I think one of the key benefits of growing Rotary is that we have more people to help us deliver the projects that we want to deliver. If we look at the demographics of our region, a number of clubs are aging, not all of them, but a number are, and sometimes that means that people don't have the energy to do things. So more members means more impact, basically.
Thank you, Ingrid. Another one here is, how long is the Regional 8 pilot going to run for if the community leaders are going to be appointed for 2 years? I think that needs to be clarified for everyone on the screen. Thank you.
Yep, it does. So it will run at this point in time. We have set the pilot to finish at the end of June 2026. So community leaders starting on the 1st of July 2024 will have a full 2 years in which to deliver their roles. The Regional Council took office on the 1st of January, so there will be a slightly staggered changeover for them. But at this point, it is 2026, at the beginning of the new Rotary year. If we need to continue it for longer, we will apply to the Rotary International Board to do that, but that's the current plan.
Liz, can I just touch also very quickly on that member question? I just want to pick up on Ingrid's point. I also think that by bringing new members in, they bring new ideas and new freshness that hasn't been thought of before in Rotary. And I think we need that. We need to actually open our eyes and actually see what's going on out there. And new members can help rejuvenate a club very quickly.
Thank you for that, Tony. There's another one here too, is how does this impact the club structure and interactions with districts and region?
Do you want to answer that one, Tony, or do you want me to pick it up?
Oh, you pick it up, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of districts, district governor roles are continuing, but as we gradually transfer functions that currently happen at districts to the regional council, the role will be different. So the key thing for you as incoming presidents to know is that your primary point of contact from the 1st of July will be your Rotary community leader. There will not be area or assistant governors after the 30th of June. Community leaders will be the leaders who will work with clubs to grow, collaborate, do projects and so on. However, that does not stop you having a relationship with your district governor. You are able to invite them, reach out to them. They will continue to collaborate with you and with the community leaders. We are still working on some of the finer details around that. In terms of other district functions, the Rotary Foundation does not change. So it's really critical for you to know that your district Rotary Foundation committee will continue as it currently does for the duration of the pilot. There are also some district committees that will continue until they transfer, because we are gradually transferring. So I see that there was a question about Ryla and Raipen. For at least this coming Rotary year, there will not be changes to Ryla and Raipen. They will continue within districts as they currently are. As the portfolio committee that looks at youth programs is put in place and starts considering how to get more impact through working collaboratively, there might be changes, but no transfer of function happens until the Rotary community, until the regional council is ready and there has been consultation with district governors.
Thank you for that, Ingrid. I saw that question too, and it is one that we do need to clarify. Foundation is not going to be touched. So you still need to make sure that you talk with your foundation chair within your own districts around anything to do with foundation. There's another one here too, just before we go, is how about a standardized club website model for clubs? Now, I know that we can talk about that one as well. Tony or Ingrid, if you'd like to answer that one, please.
Yeah, I can tell you now some work is being done behind scenes on that. We're looking at all options at the moment. It's certainly a high priority to get that sorted out. So Neil McWannell, who is our director on the board with Public Image, is well down the line, and there'll be some stuff coming out shortly.
Thank you.
Liz, could I just clarify, because I didn't fully answer the previous question about club. I think there was a question about club structures.
There is. Thank you. I'll just go to read that.
But this is not interfering with club structures. How you operate in your club is for you. It's designed to provide better support to clubs. However, if you decide that you want to change your club structure to make it simpler, to reduce administration and so on, and particularly through working together in your community groups, you will have the freedom to do that. But we are not in any way dictating what club structures should be.
Many thanks indeed, Ingrid and Tony. We will have to call it a wrap there now. If there are any other points, we will put those to both Ingrid and Tony after this, if you put them in the chat, and come back and answer those for you. Now, we will be having our guest, Claire Ahmed, at 3:15. We'll give you 5 minutes or so just to have a quick break, grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, and come back, please. And thank you very much, Ingrid and Tony, for giving up your time this afternoon. A very important subject, especially now that we're having to make decisions around clubs. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I enjoyed it. It was very informative. Thank you.
And we can make this presentation available through the website, Liz, if you wish.
Yes, we absolutely can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you,
you.
Tony.
Is there a poll for this one, Liz?
Thanks, Nick.
Yes, there is.
Thanks, Tony.
Shall I launch the poll now?
Yes,
Launch
please,
the
John.
poll and leave it going till we start with Claire.
I'll answer some questions in the chat.
Oh, I'm going to
Thank you, Ingrid.
vote on the poll, Ingrid.
You can do both. It works.
Good to see you, Vidya.
How are you, Tony?
I'm great, Johnny. Looks like you guys have had a great day.
Yes, I've been booted off just after lunch. I changed devices twice today, so but we're back on, which was good.
It wasn't anything he said though. We didn't really.
It looks like someone stopped the poll again.
Yeah, again. Oh God.
Aaron.
Hello, Tony. Hello.
Yeah,
It's a good presentation, Tony and Ingrid.
I think it's a co-host doing it because I don't think any.
It was
I
me.
don't-
It was
yeah.
me then. Sorry. It's from the Kauri and Kiriru wonders of the Waitakere Rangers in Auckland. She is a Westie of Indonesian New Zealand heritage. She holds a doctorate in international children's rights and laws from Lindenau University in the Netherlands. Assortment of degrees in law and arts from Waipapa Road, the University of Auckland, and is a University of Auckland 40 under 40 honoree. She was admitted to the bar in 2007. Her mahi work has included children's NGOs, the international organisations in Aotearoa, Australia and Europe. She's held senior roles within Te Kahui Tika Tangata, New Zealand Human Rights Commission, Deputy Chair, Children and Young People's Commission from July 2023 to November 2023. Then in November of 2023, she became Chief Children's Commissioner and Chair for the Commission for the next 5-year term. Although, and above all of this, her experiences have been shaped by a Rotary Global Grant Scholar 2010-2011, supported by District 9940. Please join me in welcoming most warmly our keynote speaker, Dr. Claire Ahmed, Ho mai te Pakipaki.
Tēnā koe, Edith. Nā mihi ki a koe mō tō kōrero mahana I tēnei ahiahi. Tēnā koe ki a koe e hoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora koutou ki ngā hoa e huri noa I te motu I tēnei rā. Warm Pacific greetings as well to all of you around Aotearoa, New Zealand and the Pacific region who have joined this wonderful hui today. Talofa whakalofulahi atu Nisa Bula Malo Elele and Apakabar in my father's native tongue. It is such a pleasure to have this opportunity to join such an incredible hui today, and I feel very honoured to have the opportunity to share some time with you, to hopefully share some whakaaro, some thoughts that I hope will resonate or spark some new thinking for you maybe, and to round out what I understand has been a very full day. So it is such a pleasure to join you. And I really want to greet each and every one of you who are online this afternoon, those of you who are district governors, those of you who are presidents of Rotary clubs, president-elects who are getting ready to do your changeover this year, and to all of the Rotarians on this call today. Ka nunui te mihi kia koutou katoa. So you've already heard a little bit about me from Edith, but just to give you a bit more of a sense of who I am. No airani ko te rana me Indonesia o ku tipuna I te taha o tuku mātua no Indonesia aho, I te taha o tuku whaia no airani me ko te rana. I whānau aho I te maru o te maunga o Waitakere, I tipu ake aho I te kāinga o Titirangi, I te taha o te awa o te whau. Ko te whanganui a tare e noho ana, ko Claire Indrawati ko ahau te kaikomihana matua mō ngā tamariki o Aotearoa. So I'm Claire. I now have the privilege, as Edith shared, to hold an amazing and hugely privileged role of Chief Children's Commissioner here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. But my leadership journey really stretches back quite a while now, and has kind of brought me to this moment. And the different threads of my leadership story are what means that I've been able to step up into this role now as Chief Children's Commissioner. So as Edith shared, I am a proud daughter of West Auckland, and that is very much still where I feel at home. That's where my parents still live. I was born in the very beautiful Waitakere Ranges, and that place is very deeply in my heart, and it's wherever whenever I go back there, that's where I feel the deepest sense of peace, and it's really shaped me very, very much from an early age. I'll come back to that in a moment, but I do want to, at the start of my kōrero today, just acknowledge the work that you do as Rotarians. Your mahi, both here in Aotearoa, in the Pacific region, and beyond in our big wide world, is simply incredible. And I just pay tribute to each and every one of you for the service that you give as Rotarians in your communities and beyond, because it does make such a difference. And I really am feeling very humbled to be in your company this afternoon. I also want to acknowledge te kaupapa o te rā, the kaupapa, the topics and the focus of your hui today. Innovate, inspire and empower. And this is just a kaupapa that really resonates very strongly with me, and I'm also hugely interested in the 4PO of your Rotary strategic plan that you are now working towards. And I recognise the time of change that the world is in, but I know that Rotary is in as well. And so I just mihi to you, I greet you all as you are navigating this time of change as well, and all that that brings with it. Today, I'm really here, as Edith shared, to hopefully give a little bit of extra boost of inspiration at the end of what I know it's been a long day online. So thank you so much for those of you who have managed to stay through right till the end. Today I'm going to share a few reflections of my own on leadership. I'll give you a few insights into my own leadership story, where I've come from, what has shaped me, and what enables me to do the mahi that I do now as Chief Children's Commissioner here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I'll also share a few reflections from my own perspective on the power of Rotary, which I hope resonate with you. So just to go back, as I mentioned earlier, to the roots of my leadership journey. So as I said, West Auckland is a place that has really shaped me. It's a place of huge diversity. At my high school, Avondale College, we had the privilege of having over 100 cultures represented in our student body. And I think for me, that's something that has really shaped who I am as a person. And so I have a great privilege myself, as I said, of walking in multiple worlds through my mixed heritage of my dad being from Central Java in Indonesia, and my mum with her Scottish, English and Irish ancestry. But also during my time at Avondale College, I had the privilege to walk into the world of Te Ao Māori as well. We had a wharenui, a marae on our kura, and also had the opportunity to learn Te Reo Māori, me tikanga Māori throughout my 5 years at high school. And I think for me that was very important and formative, because it gave me an insight into the history of our land and our people here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. It helped me to understand my identity as tangata tiriti and the opportunity that we have here as tangata tiriti to come into this country and to stand here alongside tangata whenua. That has been a thread, and the thread of both our bicultural nation and our multicultural nation. These have been threads that have followed me throughout my career and that I keep coming back to now in my work as Chief Children's Commissioner. Excuse me. Nature is the other thing that hugely shaped me during my time growing up in West Auckland. For any of you who had the privilege of spending time in the beautiful Waitakere Ranges, you'll know that that beautiful, pristine, subtropical rainforest there that we have is pretty unique in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And from a young age, that gave me a real sense of appreciation for the beauty of nature and of Papatuanuku and all that our Mother Earth offers us. But I also got to see how fragile our earth is. And so from a young age, I was involved in initiatives like War on Weeds, taking weeds out from our native bush to give our native bush a chance to flourish and grow, cleaning up our native local streams, for example, from pollution. And these are other threads that have stayed with me now. And so now, if you fast forward through to this role that I hold as Chief Children's Commissioner, my role is to advocate for and with all of our country's mokopuna, that's our children and young people. We have around 1.2 children and young people in our country. And what I'm hearing from them often, from our mokopuna Māori, for example, is how important it is for them to be able to speak their reo, to be able to practice their culture. And I hear from a whole wide range of children and young people, both here in Aotearoa and with roots out to Moana Nui a Kiwa, our wider Pacific neighbourhood, how important taking care of our climate and our earth is. And so when I have those conversations with children and young people, it does make me reflect a lot on my own childhood and those roots that I have in west of Tamaki Makaurau. I think back as well about the examples of leadership that I was exposed to and had the privilege of, I guess, witnessing as I was growing up. For me, I had some very incredible leaders right next to me as I was growing up, and they were my grandparents. They were people of huge service in their community. They were people of faith as well. But what I saw the most was the power of service through friendship and through being in community with others. And so I learned a lot just by, I guess, osmosis, being around my grandparents and the incredible example that they were. Then at my high school at Avondale College, I had the privilege of being taught by some incredible teachers, and the lessons that my teachers have shared with me have stayed with me through to this day. And I'll actually share one of those a bit later on in my kōrero. I also, at the time of my high school, got to take on leadership roles within the school too. Had the privilege of serving as one of the head prefects in my final year of college. And that enabled me to step up into service in new ways, and that I then continued on during my time at university. So when I did my undergraduate studies at Auckland University in law and arts, one of the projects that I got involved with was a foundation project called the Equal Justice Project, focused on supporting access to justice in Tamaki Makaurau for marginalised communities, so for young people, for refugees and migrants, and for those who are often at the margins of our society and who experience disadvantage. I learned a heck of a lot through that project and in my role as helping to lead that project in its first and second years. that project exposed me to a whole range of people and walks of life who I hadn't yet had the chance to come face to face with. And those are lessons and insights that still inform my work in social justice right through to today. And then if we fast forward quite a few years now, I am here in Te Whanganuiatara in Wellington with our team at Mana Mokopuna, the Children and Young People's Commission, where I have the privilege of serving as Chief Children's Commissioner. As Edith shared, I just started this role in November last year, and I have been appointed for a period of 5 years. And it's fair to say that it's a really steep learning curve that I'm on right now. It's been a real microcosm over the last 4 months in the role of a whole range of new issues and new challenges that I've had to step up to as a leader. But what a massive privilege I now have to be leading out on a kaupapa that means so much to me, and that I've dedicated my career to: the pursuit of children's rights, of supporting children and young people in positive outcomes in their lives. And we know that right now here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and actually throughout the world, children and young people aren't experiencing the fullness of their rights as they have an entitlement to. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, we only have to look at our daily news and hear the statistics that put us to shame, really, as a small, relatively rich nation. It's simply not good enough that we have, over 12% of our children and young people living in material hardship. That's going without 6 or more of the 17 items that are deemed as essential. And for our mokopuna Māori, that goes up to over 18% living in material hardship, and for our Pacific young people, over 25% living in material hardship. We also sadly have 1 child being killed by homicide in our country every 5 weeks. These are things that break my heart, and that really I hope that we all collectively care about, because that is how we are going to see change on them. We're also going to see change by actually listening to children and young people. They all have a right to participate under Article 12 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. And that's something that I'm hugely passionate about in my role. So I want, over the next 5 years, every single piece of work that I do to be more and more informed by what children and young people themselves tell me. And so today is actually Te Rā o ngā Tamariki Aotearoa New Zealand Children's Day. So ngā mihi kia koutou katoa I tēnei rā whakahirahira. Big mihi to you all on this very special day for our nation. I've spent the day out in the community here in Wellington at the Newtown Festival, where I've been asking children and young people directly, I tō ao he aha ngā mea nui, in your world, what matters most? And so that's a question that I'm going to be continuously asking children and young people over the next 5 years to inform my work as their independent advocate. So when I go and speak with people like the Prime Minister, the Minister for Children, our Minister for Social Development, for example, I can go in there with real-time information about, here are the things that children and young people are worried about, caring about, excited about, the things that they are missing, or the things that they want our decision makers to be really standing up and taking action on. So as you can see, I'm quite passionate about the work that I do right now, and I'm really excited about the change and the contribution that I can help to shape and influence together with my team over the coming years. There have been many steps, though, as I alluded to earlier, to get to the point that I'm at now. And to be honest, stepping up into a big leadership role such as this, I'm probably the first one to say, oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that or not. And so being really clear about what my strengths are, what my blind spots and weaknesses are as well, has been very important for me to learn as a leader, but also to surround myself with people who I know are going to give me the real take on how I'm doing, how I'm going, how I'm tracking, and also hold me to account so that I'm really fulfilling the promise of the mahi that I'm doing. That's also really important to me too. I'd like to turn now to talk a little bit about the power and influence of Rotary, because as Edith alluded to in her introduction, Rotary has been a very important part of my own leadership story in my life as well. And I owe a huge debt of gratitude to Rotarians, especially in District 9940, who supported me as a Rotary Global Grant Scholar, but also Rotarians throughout the country and globally who supported me to take up that opportunity. But actually my links to Rotary go back even further. They go back right to my 7th form year, my final year of high school, when I was invited to be part of a Rotary Youth Leaders Forum in Tamaki Makaurau. And what stuck with me at that time and what has stayed with me since is the focus of Rotary on service above self. And that's something that I very much believe in as well. All the work that I've done in my career has really been about making a positive difference in the world for others. I hope to leave the world a little bit better than how I found it. And so serving above oneself is something that really is at the heart of my ethos towards leadership. So something that stuck with me at that time and that I've continued to carry through with me on my leadership journey. Then it was in my first full-time work role at the Ministry of Social Development, where I was an in-house legal counsel, and I met an amazing Rotarian called Jenny Nicol. She's based down in the South Island now, but she's the person who reminded me of Rotary again. And she said to me, "Hey Claire, have you heard about these things called Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarships?" And I said, "No, tell me more." Now, Jenny had the foresight to raise the possibility of this scholarship with me because she'd heard me speaking about my aspiration to go and further my understanding and knowledge through doing some postgraduate study. And so that really sparked an idea for me, and I went through this process of applying for what in my year of application turned from the ambassadorial scholarship to the Global Grant Scholarship. So I was a little bit of a guinea pig, I guess, as one of the first Global Grant Scholars. But the faith that Rotarians from my supporter club here in Te Whanganui Atara, from the wider district, from throughout Aotearoa and globally, the faith that Rotarians put in me to actually see me as a worthy candidate for support, which was hugely generous. And I want to make absolutely clear, I would not have been able to embark on that postgraduate study overseas had it not been for the generous support of Rotary. That was really a huge turning point for me, because what it enabled me to do was go across to the University of Leiden in the Netherlands and immerse myself in the world of public international law with a focus on peace, justice and development. So I undertook an advanced master's in that subject at the University of Leiden. And it was through that year that I got to also deepen my knowledge and passion for children's rights and international law as well. And through that, I was invited to undertake my doctorate at the University of Leiden, which focuses on international children's rights law. That year that I had living in Leiden, first of all as a Global Grant Scholar, and in the years that took place thereafter, we were there for about 3.5 years in total. They were hugely formative years for me and really enabled me to take my learning, understanding and practice as both an international human rights lawyer and as a social justice advocate to that next level. And I'm very, very clear that Rotary was right there supporting me all the way. I had huge support during that year as a scholar from my club back here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, from Rotarians here. I still keep in touch with an amazing Rotarian, Brian Lynch, here in Wellington, who chaired the selection committee for that Global Grant Scholarship. And then when I moved to the Netherlands, I was met and welcomed by incredible Rotarians and clubs in the Netherlands too. And what a way to be supported into adapting into a whole new culture, a new way of living, and on the very other side of the world, the furthest that you can almost get from Aotearoa, New Zealand. So I'm very thankful for all the support from Rotary during that time. So Leiden was not only a key step in my journey into children's rights, but this connection with Rotary has also enabled me to connect in other ways too. And so a few years back, I had the privilege to join the board of an amazing organisation called Shelterbox New Zealand, who many of you will know about, a global humanitarian and disaster relief organisation that is a recognised affiliated project partner with Rotary International. And so through my work as a trustee and then as chair of Shelterbox, that was another way for me to maintain that awesome connection with Rotary and to continue to give back in some way. And in fact, just 2 weeks ago, I was speaking at a Rotary Club here in Wellington. And so I do continue to look for ways that I can give back to Rotarians around the motu. I'll turn now, before wrapping up, to just a few reflections on leadership today in Te Ao Hurihuri, our changing world. And I wanted to share my thoughts in the spirit of challenging you, sharing a bit of a widow, to challenge yourself to reflect. How is it that you want to show up in the world as a leader and as a Rotarian in the work that you do? How I've chosen to show up in the world is to every day seek to be a good ancestor, to be a good tipuna, so that what I'm doing each and every day hopefully is leaving a positive, lasting impact for the world into the future. Now that might sound quite lofty and idealistic, and I'm the first to say that I am ever the optimist and the idealist. However, I really choose to share that with you because it does help to keep me grounded, to have that perspective on the bigger picture that we are all working towards, and in the short time that we have here on Earth, that we have an opportunity to contribute in some way too. I've also reflected a lot on what my values are as a leader, and knowing my own story, my identity, where I come from, where my roots are, what drives me. And for me, my values are really clear now, and they are 3 things: to be kind, to be courageous, and to be purposeful. And so these are the things that guide me as a leader. They're the anchor points that help me to navigate when things get difficult, because inevitably things do get tough and the pressure does come on, especially I believe in all leadership roles, and including in my own right now. I then want to just pivot a little bit to your theme of today, your themes of today. So innovate, inspire, and empower, and just share a few last thoughts on those kaupapa. So when it comes to innovating, I really emphasize that, we are in such a significant time of change right now, but I also believe that living in a time of change is just the BAU that we have to accept of our 2024 world and beyond. And so it's essential that we equip ourselves as leaders in these times to be both adaptable and flexible. And I believe that's important for us to keep open minds and open hearts as we do this mahi that we are doing in service of others. I also encourage you, as you innovate, to not be afraid to try new things, to do things differently. Just because we've done something the way we have for a long time doesn't mean that we don't still have license to change things up. So I really encourage a learning mindset and a learning heart, and also to optimize as we go. Let's not be afraid to fail, but let's learn those lessons as we go and then optimize so that we can keep improving things all the time. Also, in relation to innovation, I think that our digital world is such an important space that we can innovate through. But I really urge that alongside that, we don't lose sight of the value that can come from that kanohi ki te kanohi, in-person, face-to-face engagement as well, because that human dimension in space with others, I think, is really still where we often get the very best outcomes. Turning then to the focus of inspiration, and I come back here to a kōrero that my high school principal used to share with us, and he would always say to us, get to the top of the maunga, get to the top of that mountain, But whatever you do, always take someone along with you. And so think in your leadership roles, who is it that you can be bringing along with you? How can you be sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, and connecting with that next generation of leaders coming through to inspire them and to be alongside them and to pass the rākau, the baton on as you lead as well. And then finally, empowering each other, empowering the work that we do. Volunteering is such a huge part of this in my mind. And as Rotarians, you're all volunteering your time, your energy, your knowledge, your connections, your networks. And that is such a valuable thing to do. But please, as you do this, I just urge you, take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves, keep enough of that fuel in the tank so you can keep going, take the time to fill up when you need to. And then I think there are just so many opportunities to empower one another and our communities, both here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, in our Pacific nations, but also globally and beyond. And I encourage you to draw those connections and links as much as you can between Aotearoa, New Zealand and our Pacific neighbours, and also beyond into our whānui, the big wide world out there too. So look, time is short, obviously. I will move to wrap up now, just with a few words of thanks and acknowledgement. Again, I want to really acknowledge each and every one of you for the leadership and the service that you give. The ethos of service above self is something that Rotarians, I believe, don't always talk enough about, because you are a very humble bunch, and I admire that about you. But I really think that there is power in that ethos and in serving above oneself. So I encourage you to really stand in the mana of that and own that. Thank you again so much to Edith and the team for the warm invite to be a part of today. I just wish you so well in your mahi ahead as you seek to uphold this kaupapa of inspire, empower and innovate, and also as you seek to deliver on your 4 po of the Rotary Strategic Plan over the coming year and beyond. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Claire, we had a question in the thing, so which I think was very good. What could Rotary do? What do you think Rotary could do best to make New Zealand a better country for our children?
I think thanks for the question. And I think one of the things that you can do that is hugely powerful is actually to focus on kaupapa, on projects that will impact children. And I know that all around the motu, I see Rotarians doing that all the time as well. So I would just say, kia kaha tonu, keep that mahi strong, because it really does make an impact. Also, I think when you have opportunities to use your Rotarian voices as advocates in our political environment, for example, when you're engaging with politicians, bring the kaupapa of children to the fore in those conversations. That can also be really, really powerful and useful as well. And just a big plug, I guess, from my kaupapa. As I said, I am really looking to build a collective movement around the rights and well-being of children and young people in this country. And so I invite you all to join with me in helping to build that movement, because we need every single person in this country to care about children, whether they're our own or whether they're our neighbours or whether they're in our community. If we actually grow that ethic of collective care for children, that is where we're also going to start to see significant change.
Neha's got her hand up.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Dr. Claire. I'm Neha Arora from Palmerston North. First of all, I would like to say thank you, a huge thank you to Rotary for letting me be a part of this. This today, I could listen and I could learn so much today that I never knew I would have if I would not have attended this. So Dr. Claire, I do not have any question, but I just want to say, I know there's a time crunch, but I could hear you for another 1 hour, 2 hours, and I could keep listening to your stories. It was so inspiring, so insightful. And I know there are a lot of key points that I'm taking today. Be kind, be courageous, and be purposeful. That's the best knowledge that I can have today. If I want to be a Rotary member or want to be a leader at some point in my career. Thank you. How beautifully you have turned your passion to your profession. So all I can say is when you have right intentions in your life, there's God up there who make you meet the right people, and then you are on that right path supporting others like you are doing today. Hats off to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha. So unless there's any others, I can't see any. Liz, can you see any? I'll ask Jocelyn to give a vote of thanks.
The only thing that I have asked personally to Dr. Claire is, would she be willing to be one of our Rotary ambassadors? Because we need people who are have been involved and have some Rotary history, but also you are so involved in areas that we are all passionate about too.
Yep.
And so I'd love to have a conversation with you around that at some stage, Claire. But thank you.
Yep.
Kia ora, Liz. Happy to discuss that.
Very good. So I'll pass the vote of thanks over to Jocelyn Hogg, DGE for District 9940.
Thank you, and good on you, Liz. We'll get her. We'd love to have you part of anything to do with Rotary, Claire. You're just the type of people we need. But thank you for all you do as the Children's Commissioner. You're going to be an amazing advocate for all tamariki in New Zealand and the Pacific Islands, because you're drawing from learnings you've received from your grandparents, your wider family, and of course the teachers. They have such an impact. And we hope that you'll use that to help serve you, the tamariki, over the next 5 years. And the legacy that you're going to leave will change their lives. It's going to be great to watch. Claire, on behalf of all of our participants, I thank you for inspiring us, your powerful words and motivating insights. We're grateful for the positive energy you have shared with us, and sincerely thank you for taking every opportunity Rotary has offered you and the wero you have left with us. We will appreciate that and work on it. Ngā mihi nui, Claire. All the very, very best.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, everyone, so much. Kia ora koutou.
Thank you, Claire. That was really, really good. We've now got a section, Liz, of an open forum.
We absolutely do.
Any unanswered issues for you as presidents going into your year? Now's your opportunity to ask anything. You can either tap it on the chat, as I said, raise your hand, and we'll see if we can answer any burning questions. We don't want you going away from today going, oh, I wish I'd just asked that question. Phil.
Hello, Phil.
Could you tell us the website that will that you'll post the proceedings from today at, please?
It will all be on the rotaryoceania.zone website, and that will certainly be there will be an area that you can go to download any of the information that we've had today, the PowerPoints, etc. Yep.
Thank you.
Good question,
Thank
Phil.
you.
Thank you. Any others? It's people looking like I've only got oh, yeah, Phil got a hand up.
Phil, you might want to put
your hand down.
Put your hand down, please. Thank you.
Are there any others? Well, Liz, it looks like I can't see any more.
There's somebody here,
Graham Waters, 9840 has his hand up. Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
You'll just need to unmute, Graham.
Thank you. My question was about on the regionalisation front. I see by mid-March, everyone's supposed to have elected,
not elected.
Concurred on or otherwise got together. But is that an activity that's self-run? Or is there a regional oversight, so to speak, of how, whether everyone's meeting the mid-March deadlines and all this kind of thing?
So Graham, your district leadership team should have held an establishment meeting for your community to see what your community wants to do that will influence the putting some data into the job description for the new community leader. It's not binding, but it's to give some idea for what person you're looking for. So that has to happen by the middle of March. That's 2 weeks away. And then we're going to look for applicants for the community leader. And I'm not sure, Ingrid, when that process actually closes. I think it's mid-April, isn't it?
I think it's mid-April. I think because the community leader training begins in May, we want all the community leaders elected by the end of April.
Yep.
But because it is happening district by district, the election is actually being run by each district within their district. That they won't all happen at exactly the same time. So I guess, Graham, you will be, or you or probably your current president will be contacted by somebody from your district who will facilitate that first establishment meeting for you. So just check with your president to see if they've been contacted, and they can go to, or Jocelyn's got her hand up, so she might have an answer for your district.
Thank you, Ingrid. Yes, the emails coming out from our district governor are happening now, and I'm just looking on my phone, so excuse me looking sideways. I believe we're having meetings on the 13th of March, and that's gone out to all of the presidents, so you should hear something fairly shortly.
Great, thanks very much.
Any other questions from anywhere? My facilitator's keeping looking for me.
It's Roger Blakely.
Roger.
Just it was very helpful to hear about the regionalisation pilot, and it's very clear that the driving force behind it is the free fall of
membership
Rotarians. My question is, I presume that as part of this, there has been a really thorough study done of what are all the factors which are affecting the free fall of Rotarians, because I think there are many of them. And the question is, how will the structural changes that they are being implemented in this pilot specifically help that problem of free fall of registrations? And is that the only thing that we need to do to recover our membership?
Probably not, to be honest. It's not the change of structure is not the simple answer to this, but it is one part of the answer. And if we think that this is going to solve all our problems, as I've given many presentations to clubs, it still needs us to be people of action. And we still need to go and do a whole lot of things and try a whole lot of new innovative things. This I think allows us, Roger, to have the conversation around this. And it's good stimulus for us to continually do this. And I think the part the president, US incoming presidents need to play is to give us good communication about what is working and what is not working under this pilot, because it is a pilot. We're trying something, and as I said to many of my clubs, we're doing this with you, we're not doing this to you. So we want to know, and that requires a good communication process, because you can sit there and grumble about, oh, well, they made all these changes and they don't work. We want to know that. We want to have good feedback, and we then want to modify things and see if that will improve what the outcome is. I don't know if Ingrid wants to. She's been working on this for a long time. She got me involved in this process, so maybe you've got a few other answers, Ingrid.
Well, actually, I saw Dave had his hand up. Dave, did you? I think he might have wanted to say something before, because I've had a good say. Dave, did you want to respond to that or something different?
Mute, Dave. Mute. Take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Ingrid. Yeah, I'm on the steering group with Ingrid, and what Nick's saying is correct. We want to have the opportunity to not only allow just, in the past we've had the clubs working out how to get new members, how to attract members and that. And for a lot of clubs, it's a big struggle. We're looking at from a collaborative approach where we can work together within our communities to be able to enhance the impact of Rotary, to to encourage people to come on board. We have people in the community waiting to be asked, and the communities can be able to look at that. So will we approach these people so where they best fit? So they don't fit one club, they could fit another. Whole steering group has been working extremely hard on reviewing all the documents from all the regionalisation establishment groups have been bringing in submissions to the steering group. We've been looking at that with a pure focus on how we can work collaboratively to enhance Rotary and to attract us and be irresistible to come and join us. And it's a whole zone-wide approach rather than that club approach.
Thanks, Dave. Can I, Nick, just answer Roger's first point too, which was around how do we know what it is that is leading to the decline in membership? Rotary globally does surveys which include our zone every, well, I'm not sure it's 1 or 2 years, but we've certainly tapped into that information, which is widely available and has highlighted 3 key things. One is the experience that people have in their clubs just doesn't appeal anymore. One is that they thought they were joining something and it turned out to be different. So the mismatch of expectations. So I had a personal experience in my club where we had 2 people join. They thought they were coming into a club with a whole heap of projects. In fact, there weren't a lot of projects and they didn't find one that appealed and they left. And the third one was cost was also an issue. We also, thanks Edith, it's an annual survey, so we do tap into that and we work closely with RI staff, so they give us all the information for our zone. We did when we first started the pilot, we also did a survey of members of what it was that they liked about their clubs and what they would like to see changed, and that validated the findings from the global survey that it was the same issues. But, you know, it's an issue that we're facing in our part of the world where Rotary is very well established. They're not facing the same challenges in places like India and Africa and Korea, for example, but in places like Japan, they are. Philippines is growing gangbusters. So it depends on which part of the world you're in as well.
Any other questions? This is really good. This is what we wanted this session to actually be.
Exactly.
Phil, again.
I'd just like to make a comment in response to Roger. I think the situation is worse than has been painted by the regionalisation people. If we've lost, for example, a net of 1,000 Rotarians, we've probably actually lost 1,500 Rotarians and gained 500. And I think we need to separate those 2 figures out when we are contemplating the scale of the challenge that we face. It's a very real challenge.
Yep. Well said, Phil. When I was at International Assembly, John Hugo said, worldwide, Rotary attracted 150,000 members last year. That's a reasonable sort of number of people, but we also lost 150,000 members last year. So we're not going forward. So Timothy, you've got your hand up.
Hi there. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, sure, Tim.
I'm just starting out my camera as I speak. Just while I sort that out, the key questions were to essentially the panel that we've got here. You've all been ex-presidents. What's the one key thing you wish you'd done differently as president? And secondly, what's the one thing you're glad you did? Sorry, apologies. It's a tough one, but I certainly, as an incoming president, I'd like to hear, you know, all 5 or 4 of your views. Yeah.
Why don't if anyone wants to answer that, yes, but if we get a flurry of them, they might want to put it in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah. Would somebody like to start? I'm sure that, I mean, well, I've got my own district governor here. District governor Bill. I mean, that's mean of me. But how would you answer, Tim? You've been a club president.
Sorry, I wasn't taking notes. I'll just try to correct Liz on her on her website address.
That's all right. We've got it sorted now. Thank you.
Okay.
You missed the A. Sorry, can you repeat the question, please, Tim?
No, what was your
Hi,
best
David.
thing and what was your worst thing that you would do? What you'd give a new president a bit of advice on?
To be yourself, but to manage those who you're in charge of, rather than being in charge yourself. Is to with one of the presidents I've had this year, who's probably tried to do everything herself. Do not do that. Then delegate is the big thing. Don't try and do it all yourself, because then you won't get a president take over from you the following year, because you've done a great job, but you've done it all yourself.
Nick, if I can have a turn.
Yeah, sure, Steve.
Yeah. One of the biggest steps I think we made in my year as DG was to go to Zoom, and we've worked our way through it. And this is, I think, the third year that Speds has been on Zoom, and I think that's a IT innovative step. I think the other thing that we've done in our club has gone more project emphasis and impact. And making an impact is really about attracting people. And the other thing is our club is substantially, or 75% women. And I think that brings about a change in the way you go about things. And I think that change is important. My regret, we've got 4 children. Our eldest daughter is 48, and none of them are Rotarians.
I'm the same.
We've done something wrong.
Dave McKissick. Again.
Yes, the one thing that I always look at the negative and then end up with a positive. Probably the thing I never did when I was president was, we knew that the venue was not acceptable, and I didn't change it at the time. I wish we had, because as soon as we changed, we started getting more interest in Rotary. But secondly, the best thing I did was as the club leader, I drove and let my club I navigated and let my club drive it. So I embraced engagement from my members, and what they wanted, we would plan around it and let them drive. So I just let them go with what they feel, and just sit back and just sort of drive it, but they navigated and practiced through it. And it's about the team engagement. If you've got them on board, you're going to have a great year.
Tim, my advice to you probably was, I didn't make the best of my president-elect's year. Right? The preparation for the year, work took over, and then it got crammed, and then trying to find a president-elect for the next year, I got mixed up. Probably the best thing, my advice is, be yourself and bring all that passion and enthusiasm to the job that you can. Because leading by inspiration, I think, is the way to lead a Rotary club. That's my advice. I don't know if there's any other.
Well, that was absolutely awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone's advice on that, and I'm sure everyone else listening does too. It'll be interesting to see what our views are in 18 months.
It will be, because we're going through a big period of change. Are there any other comments people want to make? I mean, it's been a fantastic day. The long day to sit in front of a computer screen. I know that.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have some quick observations. If anyone wants another quick 5 minutes of just quick observations from this. In the first session, what became quite evident was that a lot of the clubs have really not got much of an idea about global grants, or even how to use or access their district designated funds. I think that's something that we need to all be aware of in our clubs, to be able to find out more about how we do that through our foundation chairs, etc. But also the feedback of those few who had done or accessed them had incredibly positive outcomes, and they really felt they had made an enormous difference, both at home and on the international stage. In session 2, about innovative projects, etc. Really, it came back to finding innovative projects that were fun and to involve more families. I think that came out considerably along, with everyone's comments. Also, they preferred at that stage to do more local rather than global. It became very apparent that they wanted to focus very much more on the local. They were also finding it harder to connect and do global grants or clubs or projects because they didn't have anyone in the club who had that connection. And if they did, they were the most successful ways of handling an overseas project, that they were working in the islands or whatever. Having that local connection was really important. In session 3, it came back to having a mentor is incredibly important. Many of them had not found or discovered that there are an enormous amount of resources to help with orientating with new members and inductions, because it doesn't seem to be very well known, and I think that that's something that that we need to look at. Also, the idea around not having the structure around the traditional way of meeting came out very clearly. There was really a lot around being open to what was suitable for your members, their ages, their interests, etc. Finding fun ways to meet and to do projects, I think, was certainly top of the line with that one, and mixing up the types of meetings that they wanted to have. And I think that was certainly far more telling this year than in previous years when we have conducted this. And finally, of course, is making sure that we connect and reconnect with some of our alumni. For example, having Claire here was a real eye-opener. I don't think many of us knew that we had such a wonderful person in our midst that we can actually use. So there's my quick 5-minute summation and observations. And I'd just like to thank everyone.
Thank you, Liz. Steve's got his hand up.
Yes, he
Steve?
has.
And you need to take yourself off mute.
We just heard that the Philippines is going gangbusters. I'm sure that we would all like to know what the common denominator is in the Philippines for that. Do we have any idea? Or are they a checkbook club or checkbook country?
We can answer this.
Good.
Yeah, they're not a checkbook country. So, I mean, some of you probably do, most of you probably know, it's a country of great extremes. So yes, there are clubs that have very wealthy members, but there are many clubs that do not. And I think there are a couple of things that are critical. One is they have lots of opportunities for doing projects in their communities, and so they bring people in through the projects that they initiate in their communities. I don't know how it works cost-wise, but I presume they've made it affordable for people to belong. And it's become something of, it's a desirable organization to join. I think that Rotary's brand internationally is very strong as a reputable, ethical, desirable organization to belong to. So as a whole, and people bring their friends in.
Okay, Bill.
Thank you.
Steve, you can come to my conference and you can ask the man himself, because Johnny Yu was my ripper from Philippines, and you can ask him that exact question.
I am definitely booked in already.
Oh, you are. You two are too, both.
Notified several times.
He couldn't miss an opportunity, could he, Steve?
But yeah, they certainly. Johnny Yu will be from the Philippines, and he can answer that question exactly for you.
Oh, look, thanks everybody. We've had a fantastic day. Thank you to my fellow DGEs, Dave McKissick, Jocelyn Hogg, Ferdinand, and don't forget Jen, who's at home with little Ethan, who'll be your support people in the year to come. I'd like to thank our trainers, Edith, Aaron, Jay, Liz, and Beryl, who came in to support when Jen could no longer contribute, and especially Liz for being a co-host today. but mostly to all of you who have given up your day for this wonderful organization called Rotary. It's been a fantastic day. It's not easy to sit in front of things, but I hope you've got a lot out of it. I hope you have a fantastic year as presidents of your club. And thank you very much, everyone.
I echo those thoughts well and truly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
the
Thank you very
facilitators
much.
please stay
Training
on?
team, stay on, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.